Hello, everyone. Hopefully, you're already joining us, but welcome to Transfer Deadline Day on the Jack and Joe Show. Jack, how are you doing? Are you excited as I am?
Yeah, very excited. We're live on YouTube and I think on Twitter as well. Welcome along, everyone. Get in the comments and we'll have a nice little discussion tonight about transfers. It's deadline day, Joe. And what have we already seen today? And what have we got in store for us over the next hour or so?
Well, there's a lot going on. And Jack, just before we start, is this the third year in a row we're doing this? I feel like it
Yeah.
is. And I'm hoping that this is the most exciting so far. I do have one quick shout out to my good friend Hector. It was his birthday yesterday, and I want to get
Oh,
that in very quickly. Happy birthday, Hector. Is an Arsenal fan, so he was very happy on the weekend. We weren't, but hopefully we'll be very happy this evening with some transfer news.
yeah,
Um,
of course. We haven't actually, discussed the games. We'll
we
get into that a
haven't.
bit later. Yeah.
Yeah, so we're probably going to be here for about 2 hours. We have a special guest joining us in a little while, and we'll talk about Brighton, maybe Arsenal, probably not, let's face it.
Nah.
But let's talk about what's happened today, Jack. There's a
Mm.
lot of incoming news, there's a lot of outgoing news, confirmed news. Willian and Kurzawa have both joined the club. Gazaniga and Sylvester Jasper have both gone out on loan. Joe Bryan went out on loan yesterday to Nice in a move that I would call falling upwards, but very good for him. I mean, it's a fantastic place. I'm sure I'll have a wonderful time and a fantastic servant to the club. So I wish him all the best, but that's one in, one out at left back. We've got a few irons in the fire. It seems like Dan James, I should say, is very live. He's had a medical at Fulham for a season-long loan. We've still been linked to Aouar from Lyon. And the other one is Vinicius from Benfica, who was on loan at PSV, and that loan has been cancelled. And we've basically hijacked the loan and tried to take him on a permanent deal. So there are a few things going on. Jack, I think first thing we should do, with a few more outgoings and probably incomings to come, what are your thoughts on the confirmed news that's happened so far? So let's talk about the incomings, the two that we've had today.
Okay, let's say Live Akazoa or Nacho from Better Call Saul. If you know, you know. I'm happy with this because you know what, Robinson has been a phenomenon, especially the last
Yeah.
few games, especially this season. Sorry, he's been fantastic. Wednesday night, brilliant performance, and obviously Joe Bryan has now gone down the pecking order. He had a stinker at Crawley. I'm not going to lie. He will forever be a legend, and he's still at the club. Of course, he's still like contracted with the club. He's just gone out on loan. He'll forever be a legend for those 2 goals against Brentford, which took us to the Premier League under sacked Scott Parker. We need to
I
talk
forgot
about
we
that
haven't
as
spoken
well.
about that, have we?
Maybe we should spend a whole hour on that.
I reckon we could spend more than an hour on that, I have to say. But anyway, let's move on. Let's not be giddy. I'm a bit giddy, but yeah.
Yeah, so we need a backup left back now that Joe Bryan's gone to Nice. And Live Akazoa, I mean, I've probably only watched him on Champions League nights where he scored a hat trick on a Champions League night. I can't actually remember when it was, but good signing. Looking forward to seeing him play. And as opposed to Willian, it's a good option off the bench. I don't expect him to play 90 minutes, week in, week out, but a good option to add to the wingers. And then once we get Solomon and Wilson back with Bobby D, Cordova-Reid and Cabano, who, by the way, have been phenomenal so far this season, it's very exciting. The only one thing I'm worried about is the centre mid. And we would love to be on stream and have a big old link to a centre mid come through, but I don't know if that's going to happen. It's looking quite.
I know who you're waiting for, Jack. It's Matt Grimes, isn't it? After last year,
someone reposted a tweet from last year from Matt Grimes on deadline day, and I remember sitting there about a year ago, and we really thought he was going to join, and he didn't. Thus, Swansea are where they are, and my prediction is going in the mud. So,
no chance.
Yeah, Swansea are having a shocker, to be fair. Let's get back to Fulham. We were going to talk Brighton a bit later. Let's focus on the transfers. Willian, of course, he's had Premier League experience at Chelsea and at Arsenal. Do you expect to see absolute fireworks from him, or do you think it's going to be, like I said, 60 minutes here, 30 minutes there, maybe an odd 90 minutes?
Not expecting fireworks, maybe a little sparkler, but he's got experience, and I think that he's a really useful player to have in the squad. It's been pointed out by several people that his one good game for Arsenal was at Craven Cottage. Sadly, that was against Mr. Dennis Adoy on that right back position. or even Joe Bryan on the left back position. Actually, I'm not sure which one it was, but
Yeah.
you know, look, we need wingers badly. The depth has been lacking for some time, and Marcus Silva's been going on about how we really need them. I do wonder why it's taken this long to get him in, considering he's been training with the club for a couple of weeks now. But I think it's a useful option to have. You know, we'll hopefully have at least one more winger coming in tonight. I mean, I imagine it will just be the one more in Dan James, as long as that happens, touch wood. But I'm quite happy with this deal. I think it's low risk. It's a 1-year deal. If he doesn't set the world alight, that is absolutely fine, because obviously not being ideal, but I doubt he'll be on the highest wages at 34 years old.
It's risk-free, isn't it?
It's low risk, high reward. You know, if he goes back to his Chelsea days, and I'm not necessarily holding out for that sort of form, but it could be fantastic. So fingers crossed it works. In terms of the Kurzawa deal, which has gone through, it sounds like it's a loan with no option to buy. Would have preferred an option to buy, as it's an incentive for him to perform slightly better, but definitely seems like PSG aren't keen on hanging on to him beyond this season. Maybe it's due to FFP that we've been a bit tight with that one and we haven't quite got him in. I feel like the Kurzawa thing, he's a good option to have, and Robinson should keep his place because he's been fantastic so far. Maybe a more attacking option, like we've got Tete and Robinson on either wing-back position, defensively solid, slightly limited going forward, and we've got the attacking options on the bench of Mbabu and Kurzawa. One gripe with Kurzawa, right? I watched every game that Fulham have played this season. You absolute liar.
He might have.
Fulham and Fulham Brentford were 3 p.m. There is no chance he watched them.
He might have watched them on, Match of the Day. Not Match of the Day, really, but whatever French version of highlights. He doesn't mean he sat down and watched the 90. He probably have seen it in some capacity, which I sort of took that as what he was meaning.
Maybe
he was finding an illegal stream at 3 p.m.
If he's seen them, one thing that he has noticed is that it's going to be hard to take Jedi's place in that team right now, and he seems locked in. And look, he's a better option, in my opinion, than Joe Bryan at left back, because I think that he can offer us slightly more. So happy with it. No money spent. I guess let's see what happens in terms of any other incomings tonight. But I feel like the defence is done, is what I would say. I feel like the defence is done.
What a save by De Gea to deny James Maddison's free kick. We've got Leicester Man United on. Guys, if you hear anything, please actually just tell the truth. If something actually big's happened, put it in the chat. Don't be lying about things and send us down a garden path where it leads to just sadness. I was going to say Kluivert. Now, we found out we won the game on Tuesday night. It was very good. And then, at like midnight, or maybe just before midnight, we found out that deal isn't going to go through. I don't really want to get into the ins and outs of why and, the Brexit, consequences of it. But it was disappointing to see. And maybe we can talk about players who were linked today, Ben Brereton Diaz. And the point to make on this is... because he's out of contract next summer, I think by January you can already negotiate a pre-contract situation. Yeah, and I reckon ourselves and maybe Everton, who have been linked today, will be trying to get those terms sort of fixed up. And I reckon he will have a club to move on to by mid-January or February, whatever. Yeah. And I reckon we'll be in that mix. And he's the sort of player who plays on the left, can play up front. He would suit us, Joe. And I think he'd suit our system.
Agree. I have to say, this is one that I would really have liked, and it may not happen. It doesn't look like it's going to happen tonight anyway. No. The reason that I'd have liked it the most is because he can play on the wing and he can play up front. It's almost 2 birds, 1 stone. Could have probably got him you would have thought we'd have got him for quite a reasonable fee, but it sounds like they're really playing hardball. Just seeing the comment. We do have one bit of news that's come through just now from an ESPN correspondent, James Ollie. It's basically just saying Dan James has completed his medical, but we're just waiting on the green light from Leeds to complete the loan. I don't think Carlos Vinicius. Yeah, I don't think that's as ominous as it sounds, because Leeds are still pushing to sign a forward, whether that be Joel Perreault from your favourite team, Swansea City, or whether that be one of the other options they've got, Hwang from Wolves, for example. Vinicius medical also complete, according to Sky. So, fingers crossed that should be 2 done. But I do agree with you, Jack. And before our special guest joins in a few minutes, I reckon we should talk about centre mid and why we feel as if that is the one position we are lacking. If the squad finishes for the window as we are now, with
Midfield.
those two coming in, the centre mid, that's the gap, isn't it? That's the missing player.
Yeah, especially with Tyrese Francois going out. Hossein Aouar was linked in the last few days. It's gone very quiet. And I did sort of think that there's no way that Lyon would sell both Lucas Paqueta and Aouar in the final days of the window without replacing him. It would have been ludicrous, but thus probably has happened. Lyon have actually come to their senses and then gone, well, we're not going to sell them both. And because of the Kluivert deal breaking down, I would have thought maybe we use that money towards buying Aouar or even any other centre mid. And it's not going to be the case unless there's a big late twist, which I really hope is going to happen just to make this really exciting. But then again, you can't really be ungrateful. 4 signings on deadline day is pretty good going, even though we sort of knew about Live Alcazar and Willian for some time now. I actually have always thought today that Vinicius was a loan, but it's not. It's going to be a permanent deal.
Permanent.
Yeah, that's exciting.
We've hijacked the loan. He was on loan at PSV.
That's it.
I mean, this one came out of absolutely nowhere last night, by the way. And that's how quickly it can happen. I mean, don't get me wrong. I feel like if there was someone at Motspur Park right now having a medical, we'd know about it. But foreign players, e.g. Mitrovic, when he nearly went to Anderlecht and we stole him at the last second, they can have medicals abroad.
The beauty.
Yeah. I mean, it's just one of those things. It can change like that. And we were saying just before that the January window, we didn't even do a live stream because it felt like nothing was happening. Out of nowhere, Nico Williams, welcome to Fulham. And it can
Was he the only signing?
I believe he was the only signing on deadline day, yes. I think that Odoi went, Carvalho didn't go.
I could have sworn we signed someone else on deadline day that day.
Really? In the comments, feel free to correct us.
I sort of remember there being 2. Maybe I'm wrong.
Not be wrong. Too sure.
Guys, 220 people watching right now is absolutely insane, and we're really grateful for everyone to being here. We've had a remarkable start to the season. We'll get into that a little bit after we have our guest on, who's due to arrive in the next 2 or 3 minutes. Looking forward to that. And yeah, just to plug in the gap before we have our guest on, let's just recap. Live Alcazar in, Willian in, Vinicius on his way in a medical, Dan James on his way in a medical. Have we spoken about Dan James in depth? Just quickly.
Not really, no.
So Dan James, of course, at Leeds, he's been played out of position quite a lot recently by either Jesse Marshall and Marcelo Bielsa. And I'm quite excited by this, even though I will fully admit, I don't like him as a player. I don't like, he dives a lot. I don't like his, personality. But then again, you can sort of get to know these players, and I don't know his personality. I'm just saying I just don't like him as a player. But I'm more than happy to obviously welcome him to Fulham as we welcome our new guest.
Oh wow,
Dan Cook.
Oh,
how
wow.
are you in the yellow tie yet again?
Day, everybody. How are we?
2 years in a row, he's pulled up with the yellow tie and sort of like the beige coloured.
Yeah, I thought I'd sort of try and colour match. Really
are you in the library
this year? These are all the books I haven't read.
That is some bookcase you've got. We're just about to talk about Dan James. Could you offer us any insight into what you think he might offer Fulham? And obviously, Marco Silva's very good at improving attacking players, as Casemiro's about to come on for Manchester United. What do you think about Dan James, and how can he improve our team?
Yeah, I think we know what we're getting in terms of strengths with Dan James, right? Which is his pace. I mean, that's his number one attribute. And it's something that we do need. I thought we were crying out for it, particularly in that Arsenal game. We had the opportunity to get in behind that Arsenal team a couple of times. And as good technicians as Neeskens Cabano and Bobby Decordova-Reid are, they're not the quickest. They don't have quite that turn of pace. And we were crying out for a Harry Wilson or a Manor Solomon in that game, and we didn't have that option. And we might not have that option until maybe even after the World Cup. And so I think this signing makes a lot of sense. I think he'll give us that extra dimension, especially when games start to get stretched. If we're sitting in, it's going to be so useful to have a player like him to bring off the bench. Yes, technical ability is questionable at times, end product, but it's always that toss-up, right? That you've got a player who gets into positions that other players won't get into. And so if his end product isn't as good as those players, he's still getting into those positions where we wouldn't be with Bobby or with Neeskens. So I think it makes a lot of sense, that deal.
Yeah.
Yeah, completely agreed. And I feel like the point about pace is really, really good, because if you go on the Premier League website right now, it's got a list of the 20 clubs by the most passes this season. Fulham are comfortably bottom, and it's showing that we've gone to a more counter-attacking style of play, which I think has been a success. I think it's fair to say all round. We need players that can get us up the pitch quickly. And you look at that second goal against Brighton, fantastic goal. If you have Dan James on the left-hand side, I think we get up even quicker. And when you've got someone in the box like Mitrovic, few Leeds fans, as you say, Dan, talking about maybe the end product is not amazing. I think that's fair to say for a lot of our players. And, if we were to sign a Cabano or a Bobby Reed right now, we'd probably be saying similar things, where maybe it's not top class, but top class players are not going to come to Fulham as of right now. And I think he's a great option to have. And I'm excited for it. And one thing that all Leeds fans have said is that he gives 100% every game. And I think that's a non-negotiable for this Silver team, the way they all work so hard. Dan, I'd love to get your thoughts on the two that we have brought in so far in Willian and Kurzawa. Jack and I touched on them briefly before you came on. Are you happy with those deals?
Yeah, I mean, we knew they were coming, right? They were sort of the starter to the meal of deadline day. They were like the soup course, to start us off with. We knew they were coming. Again, it's bodies, isn't it? I mean, we needed bodies in this team. With Joe Bryan going, Kurzawa makes a lot of sense. I think, as you guys touched upon, and quite rightly, Anthony Robinson's been brilliant. He's had a fantastic start to the season, and I see this as just a cover option, a way to protect ourselves and make sure that we've got someone who can play at left back if Ant's suspended or injured or just needs a rest. Willian, I think, is sort of just a risk-free deal. I can't see any downside to this. If he's not at that level that we need him to be at, it's okay, I think, because we've got, we've still got Jay Stansfield there. We'll have hopefully Dan James and then our two current starting wingers. And then by the time January rolls around, you'd expect us to have our first choice wingers back as well. But if Willian can come off the bench and just give us that extra little bit of something, that little bit of class, then that's fantastic. And so it makes sense. It's a sensible signing. And I think that's sort of what all of these deals look like to me, is we've been very, very sensible today.
I think you're right in saying that bringing that quality off the bench is so important in the Premier League. And what we've seen in the opening 5 games is a lack of that. We don't have those options on the bench. Jay Stansfield has probably been our best attacking player on the bench. And that's obviously the injuries to Wilson Solomon haven't helped. But adding Willian, adding maybe potentially Dan James and Vinicius will be a huge help in making positive changes, either to come back into games and claim a point or maybe a win, or holding on to what we have. And yeah, Jay Stansfield's been a fantastic player for us so far this season. His performance against Brentford was brilliant. But we do need that quality. And, you could be saying, oh, yeah, we're sitting bottom of the table. We need quality to get ourselves points. We're sitting, in 7th, 8th place at the moment, doing remarkably well. But we still do need that strength and depth. And that is, Dan, where I'm going to ask you about the centre mid position. Are we lacking? We've got Pereira, who could sort of play centre mid, but obviously he's a little bit further forward. Kearney, Natty Chabs, Reed and Paulinia. There needs to be one more, especially with Francois going as well. What would you say to that?
I mean, you're right. There does have to be another player in there. We can't expect Tom Kearney to fill that Harrison Reed role. They're two very different footballers, and that's not a slight on Tom Kearney. You can't ask Harrison Reed to fulfill Tom Kearney's role, in the same way. And this is where I'm worried. And I think that this is basically, in my opinion, looking like a write-off now, in terms of, I don't think we get a centre mid in today. And I think the only option that leaves us is if there is a central midfielder who is available on a free transfer that, we can register after the deadline. That's our only option. But looking at that as well, Florian Grilic today, he signed for Ajax on a free. That's probably the best option there was out there for a central midfielder on a free. Don't do that. And it's a shame because there have been a couple of good links, I think, and it's a shame that they seem to have gone nowhere. And I would struggle to understand why, because I think Marcus Silva definitely wants another central midfielder. You know, he sort of mentioned it, maybe not directly, but he's definitely insinuated that he wants one. So I'm not sure why we've got to this point with an hour and 40 minutes to go and there's no one.
I really do wonder if the Kluivert deal has had a bit of a domino effect, and we thought that was the winger we were getting in. We've sort of had to look around. We found an agreement with Leeds for James, but it's only a loan. And that now means that we don't have that domestic spot left that perhaps we were going to use for a central midfielder. But there should be some sort of contingency plan in place for if that happens, a backup option, a Gustavo Hamer, even from Coventry, someone like that. You know, there should be an option there. I do wonder whether something will come out of the woodwork, but we're cutting it a bit fine now. You know, there's an hour and a half, just over an hour and a half left. There are deal sheets, as we know. I mean, as we know very well as Fulham fans, and no doubt there will be some. I do want to ask you, Dan, about Vinicius, because that's the other player that we haven't really spoken about that we are looking to bring in, and sounding like that one is maybe got slightly more chance of happening than Dan James at this point, just because, you know, we're not waiting on Leeds to sign a forward to give it the green light, for example. I remember him a little bit from his Spurs loan. I remember him doing that against Marine, which was just fantastic, depending on your point of view. What do you think about this deal? Came out of the blue last night. What are you thinking?
Sensible. Again, you know, this seems to be our trend almost this window, which is not necessarily a bad thing, but I would say uninspiring is the potential other angle for this Vinicius deal, I think. Just because I think we all knew that we didn't really need a Mitrovic backup sort of like for like. I think we all wanted a different option, you know, someone who can just come in and offer something different. The flip side of that is if Mitrovic gets injured, the whole system does revolve around someone who sort of is the pivot up top, you know, that we can form our play around. And so I can understand why on that basis he's come in. Maybe the idea would have been that you've got Vinicius as the backup option and Brereton Diaz would have been the alternative option. There's something different. But yeah, I think all in all, I think I probably would have preferred someone in a slightly different mold. But if we're talking this season, we need to not be making mistakes. We need to play it safe. We need to make sure we get everything right. There is probably less risk attached to this than going out and trying to find a 5'9" nippy centre forward and suddenly Mitrovic is out for 3 months. And we've got to work out how to play wide with someone who can't win a header. So...
What concerns me is that Marco Silva clearly said he wanted a centre mid directly twice. I'd be amazed if we don't inquire about someone at least tonight. You know, even like a Ross Barkley. I've just seen.
I mean, let's face it. This is deadline day. There will be stuff going on in the background that they're doing that we'll never hear about. So, I'm assuming we're trying. You know.
Yeah. No. Definitely, it's a priority. Well, I wouldn't say priority, but it's a. Well, I suppose it is now a priority.
It is now the biggest priority, yeah.
Ainsley Maitland-Niles has just signed for Southampton. Billy Gilmore is signing today for Brighton. These are good, you know, midfield options for those other Premier League teams. Nottingham Forest are signing Batshuayi and Serge Aurier to add to their million signings they've already made. Quite extraordinary. Dan, who would be your ideal centre mid? I know it's like hypothetical now, and like Iowa was linked. James Madison's about to take a free kick. This looks very dangerous. Who would be your ideal centre mid to come in and just fill that gap?
Yeah, I mean, if you're talking ideal, I think that's tricky because we're not looking for a first choice central midfielder here. I don't think. I think we're mainly looking for someone who can cover in the Palhinha mold. I think someone who can sit in there, that's probably our biggest challenge. I quite liked earlier today, there was a rumour that came out of seemingly nowhere for Marvelous Nakamba. I thought that would have been a very safe option, someone who we know is defensively sound, lacks maybe that on-ball quality, you know, his numbers are not great when it comes to sort of distribution and carrying the ball, but his defensive numbers are fantastic. And that is sort of what we needed. And maybe that's where this Dan James loan deal then instantly saw the Nakamba deal just get pushed to the back. It made impossible, basically, because we don't have another domestic loan spot. And then do you want to have to fork out the money for him? That probably became the question.
There was a name Evander as well. Evander got linked out of nowhere, but there's been nothing to that. So take it with
Came out of nowhere and then disappeared straight away as well. It was really weird. But I mean, I think I mentioned it earlier. Very good signing on Football Manager. I do like Evander.
Yeah.
From Michelin, isn't he?
Yeah.
I can't say that I've ever seen him play. I'm not going to lie. Ronaldo is about to come on. He's just come on for Manchester United. Finally, Dan, before we let you go, what have you made to the start of the season? I know you were on Quick Take the other day after Brighton, but what a start it's been for Fulham. 1 defeat in 5. This is uncharted territory for Fulham Football Club in the Premier League.
No, it's been brilliant. It's been fun. It's been exciting and just enjoyable to watch us, coming up into games. And it's weird. I think we sort of, maybe all of us were a little bit guilty of falling into the trap of like muscle memory of, first game of the season, we turned up against Liverpool as fans and we thought, right, write it off.
Yeah.
And then similarly, we had the same sort of feelings going to Arsenal, but actually this is a different Fulham team. This is a Fulham team with a exceptional manager who I think these first 5 games, and now obviously there's another 33 games to go, but I think has proved his credentials massively, because whilst people could argue that last season was almost a bit easy for him in the sense that he had a fantastic team in the Championship and he made them play fantastic football, the real test was how do you take a team doing that and make them into a solid Premier League side? And he started with that brilliantly. We've got a really good bite to us and it's exciting. We're looking forward to games now. This weekend it's going to be tough, and then the following weekend we've got Chelsea, but we're sort of going into these games and now thinking, why not? As opposed to free hits. We don't have free hits anymore because we really think we can actually go up against these teams. We belong.
Well, yeah, I suppose right now we are proving that we do belong in the top 20 in the country. Joe, before Dan goes, any final comments?
No, I completely agree with everything Dan said. As always, it must be said. It's great that he's joined us from the G-Tech Community Stadium, also known as the Library. I'm really, really excited for the Spurs game. And I'd love to know from Dan, would you keep the team the same as we played against Brighton? Because one thing I'm worried about, and maybe this is one more for Chelsea after the new signings have had a bit more time to settle in, I'm worried about us playing a third game in a week with the same starting 11. And we only made 2 subs, I think it was, on Tuesday night. I want to know what your thoughts are on that, is it time to rotate, or do you reckon we give them one more go? We can always make subs at half-time, just after half-time, 60-minute mark. What are your thoughts on that?
I think we have to stick. I just don't think we have the option. I mean, the only option I see at the moment in terms of a player who's on the bench who is of a good enough quality to start is Tom Cairney. However, I think in this game coming up against Spurs, we saw what they did to Forest, right? Is that this is a different top 6 team in the sense that they're actually happy for the opposition to have the ball and they're happy to sit deep, and then they just look to slaughter you on the counter attack. And if we're playing against a team who wants to sit in and then take us apart on the counter, we need Harrison Reed and Joao Palhinha in there, because they're the people who are going to have to act as those screens to our back 4. And so then I don't see really where Tom Cairney comes in, unless you're relying on him to be the person who picks that gap in the defence over Andreas Pereira. But I think his first 5 games this season, he's maybe had 1.5 off halves of football, Andreas Pereira. And so I think he'll probably be trusted to keep going. He offers a lot off the ball as well. And I think as much as Marco will want to rotate because he knows that there are tired legs in there, I think he'll look at the options he has and think, I can't.
Yeah, Andres Pereira has been fantastic in his pressing, especially in that 4-4-2 that we play out when we don't have the ball. Dan, it's been a pleasure. Thanks so much for joining us today.
Thank you so much, Dan.
And it's been brilliant, guys. Top
I suppose
work,
we'll see you
always.
soon. I suppose we'll see you at a game sometime soon. You'll hear him on the podcast, or you'll see him on Quick Take. Dan, thanks so much for being here, and have a great rest of your evening.
Enjoy.
Thanks,
Take care. Bye.
See ya. And then
there were 2.
Wow.
That is Sensational.
Sensational.
Joe, let's talk Brighton at home quickly for
Let's
10
do it,
minutes or
yeah.
so. Wow. You know what? What pleased me the most about this sort of game is I was like, okay, yeah, we lost to Arsenal. That was very frustrating in quite upsetting circumstances. I wonder how we'll bounce back against the Brighton team who are unbeaten. And, first half, I thought, okay, we're probably on top, but can we carry this through? Or is it going to be one of those ones where we lull out and they get a goal and the game goes flat and it gets away from us? But Joe, brilliant, especially the first goal coming from a short corner. Didn't really come to anything. We kept the ball alive, and Mitro, 5 in 5, unheard of. Well, it's not unheard of, but because we saw it last season, but it's unbelievable.
I would love to commend Cabano for that cross, even though it was definitely not a cross.
Yeah.
But no, the first half was just like a chess match. I mean, it wasn't, in my opinion, I know on the pod yesterday they spoke about this, and Peter said that he was fascinated by the game and a few people were loving it, but I wasn't. I thought the tactical setup was interesting, but there weren't many clear-cut chances, and I felt that we just, whilst it was interesting to watch, we just cancelled each other out and we dealt with them really well. But I felt in the second half we just took control, and on another day, without that penalty, I think that we breezed to a clean sheet, in all honesty. I thought we defended superbly. And I loved it. I loved that we dug in. We had half an hour to just sit back and absorb pressure, and we did it fantastically. I loved the way that Mitrovic played, just all over the pitch defensively. He was absolutely fantastic. He was everywhere. He was at the right back position a lot as well, dribbling past people, 5 completed dribbles, which is just unheard of. It was just one of those games where it felt like everything he touched turned to gold, and in one of the cases, goals. So it was just great, and a great night because it was one of those games where I would have probably, before the game, taken a point. And I don't want to be super negative about that, but I just probably would have done, just because it was one of those where we're playing a team that's in bright form. We've just had a huge downer with the end of the Arsenal game, even though we played well. How can we bounce back? Solid point. That's what I thought we'd do. But we took the game to them in the second half and we deserved the win. And the important thing here, Jack, is that that's 3 games at home. We should have won all 3. We won 2, drew the other one. We're scoring goals, which at home, let's face it, we haven't had much luck with in previous seasons in the Premier League.
Well, who's that down to?
I don't know.
We'll talk about this at some point.
We'll talk about that at some point,
yeah.
But yeah, I mean, we've been so good going forward, and it's been a bit of a fortress so far, and long may it continue. Chelsea aside, and I guess United aside, but even them at the moment, I mean, still 1-0 is the score right now.
Yeah, Tielemans is coming off, which I'm surprised at. He's been really good in the last 5-10 minutes, and Iheanacho's coming on.
Well, he's getting his way down to Motspur Park, obviously, to sign for Fulham.
Could you imagine if he just leaves and then just joins Arsenal like really late on?
That would be very funny, by the way.
If he was subbed, he just left.
I feel like the home form he's shown so far, and I was saying about the 2 home games, we've got Chelsea and Man United. Other than those, there's no game between now and the World Cup at home that I look at and think, oh my goodness, that's an incredibly tough game. They're all tough in their own way.
Yeah.
But, the way we're playing, we can get points from all of them. And I include Chelsea and United in that, especially the way they're both playing right now.
Worrying signs for Chelsea. They lost to Southampton.
Oh, no.
Oh, yeah, of course. No,
Yeah.
there's always 2 mindsets. I think, Southampton winning, that's annoying because they might be, a rival to us come the end of the season where they might be in the table. But then Chelsea losing is also quite funny as well. But I'm so impressed with the counter-attack from the corner to make it 2-0, albeit it was an own goal from Dunk. But, you got to put the ball in the box, and we did. And, it was an unfortunate own goal. But,
yeah,
we were unfortunate in the way we conceded at Arsenal. So we got a little bit of luck back. And what was more? Oh, yeah. So Trossard having that shot across the goal, good save by Leno. They were piling on a bit of pressure at the end. It was getting really nervy. The penalty was, a penalty, definitely. Just one of those weird things that happens, and VAR is the one to look at it and turn it over. No real complaints about that. Just a bit unfortunate the way it came just after we scored the second goal. But we won the game. Yeah. We won the game. We're on 8 points from 5, which is honestly an absolute dream.
Yeah.
And I'm going into these Spurs and Chelsea games, Chelsea especially, thinking we could get something out of that, definitely. I mean, if we were sitting here two years ago saying we could get something out of Chelsea under Parker, then my confidence under Silva is sky high. I'll be interested to see how we get on at Spurs with the crowd. We haven't played there with the crowd yet at the new Spurs Stadium. Really excited for that one. And yeah, any more on Brighton before we head back into the transfer?
I've got nothing else on Brighton, and Jack, we should say, and this may be Sky Sports tax, but they've been very reliable so far. This is regarding Dan James, not a new player. They're saying it's done. They're saying it will be fine and it will go through as a season-long loan. So fingers crossed they are correct.
Because Leeds are holding up the deal, aren't they?
Yeah. Well, that's just one source saying that. That's only one guy from ESPN. Meanwhile, we've got a guy from Sky saying it's done. So we'll wait and see what happens.
That's Cavo,
fingers crossed. Yeah, Carve Solical tax, I'm afraid. But he can redeem himself for all of his misdoings over the years when he claims to know people at airports, which just isn't true. The Brighton game, no final thoughts on it. Great atmosphere at the Cottage again. And I hope that we take the great performance where it's defence first, but fantastic on the counter-attack into the Spurs game. Really think we can cause them some serious problems. And I do back Mitrovic to score.
I keep coming to this conclusion after these Premier League wins where we're getting over Brentford, over Brighton especially. It's, you watch the Premier League sometimes, maybe when you're in it, maybe when you're not in it. And we've obviously experienced both over the last few years. And you look at certain teams who are down in the bottom half of the table on paper, and you go, they've won that game because they've shown grit and determination. They've shown characteristics you need of a Premier League team. And that's exactly what we're doing. And given the last 2 years where we've failed under, Ranieri, Jokanovic, Parker, and then Parker again, we never saw that really. I mean, we saw it in tiny spells, but not on a consistent level. And what we've seen in these first 5 games, even in defeat to Arsenal, is we gave them a right good go. We actually caused them a lot of problems. And that's what's most pleasing. We're actually looking like a solid Premier League quality team. And that is not even full strength. We keep saying it. No Wilson, no Solomon. And obviously players to come in today, which of course we'll segue back into now. And that is the most pleasing thing. And obviously, Spurs and Chelsea, that's going to be tough. If we get 0 points from those 2 games, 8 points from how many it would be? 7. Not too bad. Not too bad. And obviously, given, we played 4 of the top 6 as well into context. That's half our games, basically, or almost over half our games. And then we got Forest before the international break, which will be interesting. Definitely on that Friday night. Joe, transfers, nothing really has changed since we've been on air. There's been no sentiment links, but like I said earlier, you can't really complain with 4 deadline day signings, can you? It's just a little bit frustrating that yet again we seem to let out players like Muniz. Like even we let out Muniz without bringing in a replacement beforehand. We brought we sent out Kamara and Cabano a couple of years ago without bringing in a replacement. It's trends that you don't like to see, but we are plugging gaps that have needed to be plugged. It's just one more centre mid, and maybe fingers crossed in the last hour and 22 minutes of the window, we can do something, please.
And by the way, without trolling, please, if you do see anything, put it in the chat. But no fake news, please, because we'll get our hopes up very quickly, as we always do. The Dan James deal, by the way, one point on it from me. And one reason that I'm feeling optimistic on it, even though it's not gone through quite yet, is that from his point of view now and from Leeds' point of view, they've told him they don't want him, basically. They don't want him for the season. They don't need him. He's not been starting for them lately. It would be very awkward for him now to go back to Leeds for the season where he's not going to play. I know that it's not his decision. It will be Leeds whether they sanction it or not, because he's basically agreed to join. Otherwise, he wouldn't have come for a medical, So I think it will get done. I'm not sure if Leeds will get a body in. I'm not sure if they left it too late after that deal for Bam Dieng fell apart. But fingers crossed. I do feel optimistic that we'll get those 2 in Vinicius and Dan James.
Rick_Y8781. Thank you for the £2 donation. That's really appreciated.
Thank you so much.
I think it's called the super chat. We should call it the super chat. But thanks so much for the donation. It's really appreciated. A tweet here from a guy called James Marshmont. I don't know if that's a play on words with Jesse Marsh. He's a Leeds fan. He said, "Get James back to Leeds now." He's a blue tick, by the way. "Little point sanctioning this deal. Only people who stand to lose are Leeds United. Feel for the player and not nice being treated like a piece of meat." And he's been there before, of course, with that medical at Leeds that didn't go through in the end in terms of that deal. But he will be more than welcome back in the fold. But like you just said, it would be extremely awkward for Leeds to oh, good block, to turn back at now and send it back. I'd like to think this one's going to get done, and it is crucial it does get done because we need to, we need wing options. I just wanted to ask you a quick question about a certain player this season. And obviously, Mitch has grabbed all the headlines, but how good has Bobby D. Cordova-Reid been? He's been absolutely insane.
He's been fantastic, and his defensive work rate, I think, is epitomised by that. Are you all right?
Ronaldo just did an overhead kick. It just went wide.
Oh, fantastic.
Just wide from Cristiano Ronaldo.
What was I even saying?
Bobby D. Cordova-Reid.
Oh, Bobby D. Cordova-Reid, of course. His defensive work rate was epitomised by the last 5 minutes of the 8 minutes of injury time when he just defended so well. He was sliding in, winning corners, winning throw-ins, eventually getting out for a goal kick, stopping Sanchez kicking upfield. And I just love, he's one of those utility players that can just do everything for the team. And these new wingers coming in, when the fit wingers come back, when they become fit again, the currently injured wingers, he's definitely still in contention to start because he's been fantastic and he's worked so hard in every single game. Been impressed with Cabano when he's played. Obviously, the only game that he missed was Brentford. Really been impressed with Stansfield whenever he's had to come in as well. It's just one of those where everyone that's needed to step up has stepped up, and I'd love to see it because when that team news came out against Liverpool first day of the season, Jack, I was shitting bricks. You look at that 11, and at the time, let's face it, they've been fantastic, but at that time, it looked poor, it looked weak, and they've done fantastically well, and the work rate is one of the key factors for that.
Oh, nice. I think Dan James will get done. Hopefully, hopefully. I think. What else is it? Oh yeah, that's what I was going to ask you. Let's say all 4 come in, as in 2 have already, and we get the 2 of it. Let's just say that's it. Out of 10, how would you rate the window? And put aside your 5 games into the season where we are in the table.
In terms of the personnel, I am going 8 or 9. And the reason for that is that the reason it's not above that is that we haven't got the midfielder and I don't think we're complete. I also think that we could have recruited slightly better players in some of them. I'll go for an 8, I think. I agree with Moo, who just commented. I think that it's an 8 because I think that, the centre-backs came late and we have to take that into account. I mean, them earlier, Ream and Taysom done fantastically well. But in terms of the personnel, we've got every position that we've needed as long as these 2 come in, other than that midfielder. And some of the players that we've recruited are players that are above and beyond what I thought we could get in this first season back up in terms of Leno, in terms of Palhinha, in terms of, even Manuel Solomon. In terms of Dan James, I don't think we'd be getting Dan James. It's just one of those where it'll go up to a 9 if we get that centre mid. But I don't think it's going to happen now, Jack. We've got an hour and 15 minutes left. I mean, there's deal sheets, of course, but...
Yeah. The infamous deal sheets. You never know with Fulham.
Deal sheets.
We do like a deal sheet. Jamie Vardy is very angry. You've just given away a foul. I don't know why he's so angry. Oh, he got the ball. I don't know why he's given the foul and a yellow card to Jamie Vardy. A 3rd offer coming in for Douglas Luiz, says Ornstein from Arsenal. Happy days. Well, not happy days, but... I was quite annoyed this morning, and I'll tell you why. Because I thought we were going to spend £20 million on Dan James. Yeah. And for me, that's just erratic and didn't really make much sense. And then when it transpired to be a loan, I was much happier and thinking, oh, great, that's actually really exciting. Yeah. Because you never know with these sort of things. You never know. Fulham might stay up and Leeds might go down, and James might have been an absolute triumph for us. And then we go in and spend money on a permanent. He then might be, average, and you send him back to Leeds, and he gets all of his career. He might be terrible, and we've only got him on loan, and we might still stay up. So you never know. So yeah, excited for Dan James, the pace he'll bring on the break, and yeah, shall we do it? Shall we finally talk Parker because
think
it
we
would
should
be
do it.
remiss. It would be remiss if we didn't talk about it. We are two people who have done this show for, this is our third season now. And Parker dominated a lot of the chat because he was our manager,
Yep.
wasn't he? And we praised him a lot. We praised him a lot in that relegation season a couple of seasons ago, under
Yep.
Team Joachim Anderson and, Mario Lemina and players like that. We don't want to talk about Mario Lemina at all. Sorry for bringing him up. They lost 9-0 to Liverpool. We haven't done a show since that. That's incredibly funny.
Yeah.
And what do you make of it? And by the way, I know it's well known now, but Parker was not sacked because of the results. He was sacked by the disrespect he showed his players and the club in his post-match comments, to where I read some things that said that the players were really, he wouldn't speak to the players in the week. He would distance himself from the players and he'd be in a really bad mood around the training ground. What a bizarre situation for a man who I respected when he was at Fulham, because he sort of galvanized the club a little bit and got us back on on the right path, and albeit got us up and stuff. But even in the Premier League, I really believed in everything he was saying, to a point. But Joe, give me your thoughts on this, because it's huge news. Huge news.
Yeah. He lost in terms of me and you, respect a long time ago. He lost it when we started going downhill in the Premier League, when he abandoned any semblance of attacking football, when he gave us 9 home goals in an entire season. It's just one of these weird situations where it's deserved and it's karma, in my opinion, for the way that he left us. And it's one of these situations where he's left a bad taste at both clubs now, and it can't be a coincidence. You're completely right, Ethan. The cardigan was around 1,300 quid. I don't know. Scott Parker is one of these individuals where I don't like him for the way that he left us. I'm not happy still for the way he left us, for the way he had us playing. Jack, I presume you're seeing what I'm seeing.
What, on the Bird app?
Yeah.
Well, is that Huang Hee-chan?
There's an individual going into Leeds, and people have pointed out in the crowd, and that would mean that Dan James would have the green light.
Yeah, I mean, that's good stuff.
Yeah. But my final thoughts on Parker are just that it wasn't results based, it was personality based. And I don't think he's been backed by Bournemouth. I think that's true. But I think one of the reasons he's not been backed is because he pleaded and begged for loads of signings in January to get him over the line. And it was very short-termism. And he got them. He got everything he wanted. And then he's ditched half of them when he's got to the Premier League.
Cantwell, Siriki Dembele. I mean,
yeah.
Mad.
Yeah,
it's mad.
Exactly. And I think it's football karma, and I don't think he'll be getting a Premier League job anytime soon. I can see a Championship club at some point taking a gamble on him. I feel like it might be the Swans.
The Swans will go from Russell Martin to Scott Parker, i.e. going from I'm trying to think of people who look like each other. Twins. No, I can't think of anything.
Well, what about Kurzawa and your mate from Better Call Saul?
Kurzawa to Nacho.
Yeah.
Very funny.
Yeah. I reckon let's stop talking about Parker now, because one thing I want to say, it's the end of an era now. That's it. We're done.
Yeah,
the little sort of rivalry that started with Bournemouth because of Parker is done. We still want to finish above them. Don't get me wrong. They'll still want to finish above us. But I have no ill feeling towards Bournemouth at all. I only ever had ill feeling towards Scott Parker and Mr. Matt Wells and Mr. Rob Birch and Mr. Alistair, the fitness guru, whoever he is. Well, they don't seem very fit so far, mate. The only fitness they're doing is picking the ball out of the net 9 times. So, yeah, fingers crossed that's the end of that and we can draw a line under it. But
yeah, you're right, actually. I really wanted, Bournemouth's downfall to be because of Parker. It wasn't really any player. I suppose Dominic Solanke annoys me, but I suppose that's because of the narrative that was there last season. But Parker's gone. I wonder who they bring in. Maybe who would you think they bring in? Sean Dyche is the favourite, but maybe.
Sean Dyche was the one that I initially thought of, but there's also been the rumour about Knutson, who was rumoured about Norwich a couple of last season. Just before they appointed Dean Smith, he was rumoured to be joining. That's more of an attacking coach. So not sure if that would happen and not sure if that would work for right now. Maybe in general, changing the club philosophy, etc. But Chris Wilder, I've just seen as an interesting shout, but I have to say he's not doing very well with Middlesbrough, who I tip for top 2.
I'm sorry, but if Wilder went now after begging his board for all those strikers, it wouldn't make any sense because he's got Rodrigo Muniz, who scored the other night. He got some of the strikers he wanted in. They haven't actually made any moves today. They've actually loaned out Coburn to Bristol Rovers. But let's talk Fulham again. Oh, big chance. Oh, what has he done? James Justin, what have you done? You've just really... John Terry, people are saying to Bournemouth. Then I would really hate Bournemouth. That would be it. that would be even worse than when Parker was there. Everyone's saying James is done. I need to have a look at my phone as well, but it would be rude to on stream, even though I've already done it. Right. No, only if someone sends me something, I'll have a little look. So let's go now. 4 signings in, let's just say. What would you name as, let's say that Wilson Solomon's still injured, because obviously they are. What's your strongest lineup?
Wilson Solomon's still injured, you're saying?
Yeah.
For this.
So like,
okay.
Who's available
now? Goalkeeper Leno, back 4 the same. So from right to left, Tete, Tosin, Ream, and Robinson. Midfield the same. Reed, Polina, and Pereira. Mitrovic up front. This is where it gets a bit tough. I have to say, I think that the front 3 would be James, Mitrovic, and Bobby Reed. I do think that James will offer more in terms of on the break, and that's the way we play. And I do think he's probably overall a better player than Cabano. Is the end product the best? No. Is Cabano's? No. Let's face it, it's not the best. I think that's what I'd go with. But I wouldn't be amiss to Cabano playing at all because he's been fantastic, and he was fantastic on Tuesday night. What about you? Do you agree? What do you think?
Bobby Reed, I have to say right now has been really, really good for us. So I love Cabano so much, but I'd like to see what Dan James is made of. So I'd put him in there. I think I'd agree with you. You've got Reed, Polina, and Pereira, and then back 4. Yeah, probably pretty much the same. Diop hasn't really done much to impress me so far. Duffy has been, bit part player so far. He obviously couldn't play against Brighton. Ream has been outstanding, absolutely outstanding.
Yeah, fantastic.
Leicester have lost tonight to Manchester United. That's again 5 games. I think they're on 1 point from 5 games. That draw to Brentford on the opening day, and they've lost 4 since then. Crikey. Let's put on Sky Sports News while we're at it. Thank you so much, Sully.
Thank you so much, Sully.
A little something. Let me put it on the screen so everyone can see. A little something for you guys to say cheers for the live stream. A great way to tune into the Monday. Thank you so much. It means a lot to us, and we really enjoy making the content. We love streams like this. We're almost on 300 viewers at the moment. 293, Joe.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Do we do a little Spurs preview then?
I reckon let's do it.
Yeah, let's do it. Okay. So
did you see any of them last night?
Who did they play? Yeah, I had a bit of a weird one last night. I had like every game on at some point. Apart from Bournemouth Wolves, which was a good decision actually.
By the way, Bournemouth Wolves, right? Not an issue on the game itself. Why was it not available anywhere?
What do you mean?
I don't know. For anyone that didn't have a certain broadcast, I'm not sure which one, but I'm on Virgin Media. You've got all the BT channels.
Yeah.
It doesn't have the additional channel. So you had Liverpool versus Newcastle was on 2 BT channels rather than Bournemouth Wolves, whereas you had all the other games. It was bizarre. I mean, don't think we missed much. BT Sport 5 was not available, and I don't know why. It was not there.
I was watching BT Sport 10 at one point. I was watching Lyon versus...
Right, I'm not gonna. I might be finished then. I might just be done. Like my.
It might be Virgin. It might be your Virgin because I'm on BT.
I see. Okay.
So I have access to all the channels. So maybe it's your provider.
Oh,
what a
Virgin Media. That I will see you in the gates of hell.
They're my phone provider. I quite like them.
Yeah, they're mine. They're all right. I mean, just ask them. Complain, you get an upgrade.
Spurs away.
Spurs at West Ham.
They were
first
poor.
half, I thought they looked all right, but second half was very poor, and they were clinging on at the end. West Ham could and possibly should have won it.
Yeah. But that penalty as well from Cresswell. I mean, it hit his face before it hit his arm.
Yeah, his arm was up, but it didn't hit it. So I don't know what Conte was on about.
That took 5
Peter
minutes at least.
Cooper, get that on the screen right now from Peter Cooper, by the way. I need this slander injected into my veins because,
Virgin
yes,
Media
they
can do
can.
one.
Yes, they can. Because I
Brilliant.
wanted to watch Bournemouth 0, Wolves 0, obviously. Spurs look poor, defensively shaky. Souček, he scores every week, scored again. And Davinson Sanchez resorted to time wasting, and Lloris looked shaky on the ball. It's one of those where I feel like we can get at them. I feel like we will get at them. And I just hope Romero isn't back, because I feel like that is a huge miss for them when he's unavailable. He's a top-class centre-back, and I would say a step above where he is right now. Yeah, I think it's as simple as that. So, fingers crossed that we can... Oh, go on.
Forest is signing like 3 players today.
Brilliant.
Actually, wait, what was the name of that guy? Let me just get it up again. It was Batshuayi,
Batshuayi, Aurier, and this guy now.
Loic Bade from Rennes.
We have another source, again from TalkSport, Alex Crook, saying Dan James to Leeds to Fulham is done.
Okay.
I don't think he would go that strongly unless it was. So fingers crossed, Jack. It's 4 minutes, as I say this, until 10 o'clock. We always announce on the hour or the half hour. I wonder how soon it could be.
I think it'll be around 11 when we announce players. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah.
But just in the break there, they had that Fulham advert with Roy Keane. We're just a massive club. We're just absolutely everywhere. I had a little look at the table, actually. We're now down to 8th. United move up to 5th. They're on 9 points. Leicester on 1 from 5. They've had the worst start to this season of all the Premier League teams. Aston Villa have got Manchester City on Saturday. I was looking at Wolves' fixtures. Wolves have Southampton at the weekend, and then the next 3 are like... Oh, I can't remember. Can I just quickly get it up? Because it made me feel a little bit giddy. So Wolverhampton Wanderers, who of course we drew with earlier this season, they've got Southampton at home, obviously winnable. Liverpool away, Manchester City at home, West Ham away, Chelsea away. Wow,
tough.
That's huge. And then they've got Forest at home. So yeah, I suppose their last game before the international break will be Man City at home. So
I've seen a lot of people say they're not in a relegation battle. And here's the thing. They play lovely football. They're defensively pretty sound. If you can't score goals, you're in a relegation battle. It's as simple as that. We played some lovely football in 2020, 2021 season, especially in the second half. But we could not score and win games. And ultimately, that's it. If you put Mitrovic in a Wolves team, I know they've just signed a new striker who may hit the ground running. He hasn't actually made his debut yet. But if you can't score goals, you are in a relegation battle. I think it's as simple as that. And we need as many teams down there as we can.
We've already scored 7 home goals this season, which is, nearly the number of which we scored 2 seasons ago. Sorry, I've had this Lucozade. It's making me quite gassy. Up here, not down there, which is good.
Well, yeah, thank goodness.
These silly tangents we get off on.
Luka Milivojevic, yeah. Oh, fantastic.
Yeah, Jack Stroudley's he's bashing the drum of Luka Milivojevic, which of course we were linked with early in the summer, but I would be very surprised. It would seem like a bit of a panic buy, that would be, from Crystal Palace. I'll tell you, I know this has got nothing to do with Fulham, and I know we saw João Pedro earlier claiming, confirming he's staying at Watford, but no one signing Ismail Assar is utterly baffling, especially Premier League teams. You'd have thought Newcastle or Palace or Everton would have been all over that.
Completely and utterly agree. I would have, out of the 3 Watford forwards, the one that I'm most shocked is still there is 100% João Pedro, because I think of the potential he's got. Sarr's a weird one because he's been rumoured to go for years and he just never has. And I wonder if that ship has now sailed. He didn't fully impress last season. Maybe teams aren't that fussed on him anymore. Dennis is one that I would have 100% taken at Fulham because of his goal threat, without a doubt.
He's at Forest, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think he'll get a few goals for them. I'm pausing briefly because 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 in terms of 10 p.m. just to see if we announce anything. Because even if it's a departure, you never know. Do we get anything live?
Someone just texted that TalkSport. Alex Crookin. It is 10 p.m.
Yeah, I don't think we're going to get anything. 1 hour to go.
All right, so James is done, hopefully. That's good news. Yeah,
nothing
good.
yet. We've got an hour to go. I do now think, guys, sentiment is out of the equation.
Well, it's the last hour.
Most random ever.
I'd be amazed if they weren't sitting in the office having a conversation about signing a centre mid. Be amazed.
I mean, remember last summer, there was suddenly the news about Reggie Cannon that broke the next day where we had a last-minute bid that just didn't quite make it through. That was a player that's playing in America. We're trying just to get it over the line, can do a medical there, whatever. We've got a few outgoings still to go. Maybe it's time to talk about those, Jack.
Yeah, let's do that. Good shout. Yeah.
Josh Onomer rumoured to be going to West Brom, which I think is a great move for him, and I hope he does well there. We've got Francois.
He's so West Brom. He's so West Brom.
He is extremely West Bromwich Albion. I cannot believe how West Brom he is. Sorry, go on.
It's only because he plays a similar role to Romain Sawyers. And Romain Sawyers was obviously there before he joined Cardiff this season. Yeah. And there's just something about, I can just picture right now, I'm closing my eyes, I can picture Josh Onomer in that new West Bromwich Albion shirt. And it just fits. It just works. It's so West Brom.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to seeing how he gets on at West Bromwich Albion.
Hope he does well. Yeah.
Yeah. Someone's just texted me saying, can't wait for Leeds' don't go to bed yet tweet just to announce that Dan James has joined relegation rivals Fulham.
But by the way, I do want to say this really quickly. Why are Leeds loaning him to us? We have to question this. It might not happen. I hope this isn't me. Touch Chris Wood extremely. But
would it not have made more sense to loan him to Spurs?
There must be other takers. Maybe not Spurs. It sounds like they withdrew, but there must be someone else. We're a relegation rival, despite our good starts for both of us. I can't believe that they've loaned him to us of all places.
Sorry, we were talking about outgoings. Tyrese Francois is off to.
I don't know how to pronounce the name. I don't want to butcher it. Yeah, no. In Croatia, the team that we've partnered with, possibly Gika.
Again with G. I can't remember.
Yeah,
but by the way, can you stop commenting that Ben Foster signing, because that would be a nightmare, and that's a nightmare. No offense to Thomas, who keeps commenting it, I think, but we really appreciate all the comments. But the thought of Ben Foster joining would be so silly. He wouldn't play, and he would just vlog everywhere and ruin everyone's moods.
Oh, we've already got full access. We don't need his vlogs,
I wonder if there'll be a full access for.
I was about to say full access deadline day special would be fantastic, and I hope it happens.
Please. Arthur Mello has just signed for Liverpool on loan. Good signing for Liverpool, that. And yeah, we're into the final hour of the transfer window. It's going to feel a bit weird. It's sort of I know it's been it happens every year, but it's dominated all of our lives for the last 3-4 months. Even since April, where Solomon was linked. Obviously, that was the up and down narrative on that one. Yeah, everyone's saying Dan James. What realistic player could be signed to make you guys dance in the bath and celebrations?
Oh my goodness.
Hossim Aouar. I think it's Hossim Aouar, and that's it.
Yeah.
Really. That would be it. Yeah. Anyone else who's on their way out?
I mean, there's been
Knockaert,
a few.
Maybe?
Knockaert's been linked to a few clubs. Cavallero, worth putting out. I don't think the Greek window closes today.
Oh, really?
So I believe he could go to Olympiacos in the future, in the next few days, weeks. I'm not sure how long they've got left. Congolo's been sort of informally linked to West Brom as well as Onomer. I'm not sure if that one will happen.
He's not so West Brom.
Yeah. Foster has been not Ben Foster. Fossey has been linked to Standard Liège on a permanent deal, so that could be.
Well, he didn't sign a new contract, did he? So it wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah,
and Paulo Gazzaniga has of course gone out on loan as well.
Yes.
It just feels like we're
Good
getting a
luck
lot.
to him.
Yeah, no, of course. I actually saw him after the Brentford game. He was just standing there
really?
waiting for an Uber. Yeah. I quite like the fact that we're now really getting rid of that deadwood. There were four players who were cast aside and weren't going to be involved in the first team, which is obviously not a nice thing to experience or have happen to you. That was Terence Gongoro, Ivan Futchans Caballero, Anthony for my son Knockout, and Josh Onomer. Josh West Bromwich Albion Onomer. So yeah. Pun for Dan James.
Oh. On the spot now.
What's Vinicius' second name?
I believe his second name is Vinicius. I think it's Carlos Vinicius.
Oh, Carlos Vinicius. I'm trying to think of a pun for him as well. Guys in the comments.
I'm in my mum's car. Vinicius. There we go.
Ben Foster signing for AFC Cringe, apparently. Is that a joke? Or are you talking about like hashtag United or something like that? I
don't think AFC Cringe is a real club, so I presume it's a joke.
Yeah, I thought he was like I thought he was saying like Bournemouth or something.
Maybe the G-Tech Stadium. He might be off there.
Brentford have been a weird club so far this season.
Got to say, fantastic window for them. I've been impressed by their business.
Yeah, great deadline day signings as well. Yeah. So unnecessary.
Yeah.
No, they've had a good window. I don't know what's going on here on Sky Sports, but someone's put their hand over the camera. Who's thinking he's the Newcastle? I don't know what's going on, but still time to get Harry Maguire. Luke, just calm down. That's my brother upstairs. I don't know what he's commenting about. Transfer that hasn't been Fulham that you're most excited about. For me,
that's really interesting. Okay, go on.
It's got to be Isak. To Newcastle. Really exciting player.
Very potentially.
And obviously last night he was brilliant. He was brilliant last night.
I'm really trying to think of mine. Are we going the whole window?
Yeah.
Tough. That's really tough to say. I think Gabriel Jesus is a fantastic signing for Arsenal. I think in terms of teams towards the bottom of the table, there has been some really good business. And I think that Forest have done some of that. Not all of it is good business. I do think Emmanuel Dennis was a good move for them because I think it'll provide some much needed goals. And I do think that Everton have brought in some good players. I do think that hanging on to Gordon was important to them. I do think that Maupay, not the most prolific, obviously he could have come to us, but I do think that he's a good addition. I think he'll get them between 8 and 10 goals, and that'll probably do just fine. By the way, Dan Juras is a shout in the chat, and I think that could be the one. Yeah,
Dan the Man from Joe
Dan
Ryan,
the Man.
definitely.
God, it could be Dan the Man, couldn't it?
I want to ask you a question. Someone said Pope to Newcastle. Yeah, that's a good signing. That was a really good signing. Think about all the links we've had over the window, the roguest of links that haven't actually come to fruition, like Al Mustafi.
Yeah.
Al-Musrati, wasn't it? Al-Musrati or Al-Mustafi? Joe, you've just sent a tweet in. I'm really excited to see what it is.
It's not that exciting. It's just from Phil Hay, who's the Leeds Athletic reporter, just saying Dan James is at Fulham right now, just waiting for confirmation that his loan has gone through. He's already passed the medical.
You'd imagine that we're going to hear from a pretty high up journalist that that's going to be done because it has been talked about from like the likes of Ornstein and Fabrizio Romano.
I've got no doubt it's done. Everything's done, but Leeds perhaps just want to wait for someone. They have to sign it off on their side.
Depay is staying at Barcelona. He's not going to Chelsea. Good news that. Max Aarons is not leaving Norwich. Fair enough. So yeah, like roguest player we've been linked with.
Oh, you know what? There's been some really random ones. I do think Aouar's right up there because I feel like that was, a bit of just a random one out of nowhere that I think would be a crazy one. And I'm going to go out on a limb here. And I'm going to say that one of the roguest things we've had is a player that we've signed. Because I cannot believe that João Palhinha is a Fulham player. He is fantastic. And I love it. I love it so much. The roguest link that we've had was the defender from Sao Paulo last week, the Brazilian centre-back. Didn't really come to anything. And I can't remember his name off the top of my head. But that was just a random one. hasn't really come to anything. So, it's been a crazy winter. If we'd have made a list, Jack, I think from April onwards of every player we've been linked with, we'd have been going for absolute days.
Milinkovic-Savic, one day after we got promoted.
Oh my goodness, yeah.
But
one day after
really.
we got promoted. And then we got linked to the other Milinkovic-Savic, who is his brother, the goalie that's like 6'8" and nearly went to Brentford.
What about Strakosha? That one went on for a while, and then he signed for Brentford.
Strakosha and Romagnoli, we both thought were signing for a while.
Yeah.
So Peter Rutzer does have a list, but he was off for a couple of weeks, so he probably missed about 40 names during that because, we were linked to about 5 players a day. 50 minutes left, guys.
Oh, do you remember like the left back from Juventus?
Oh, Pellegrini.
Like, I was getting really excited about that kind of
play. Alex Moreno from Betis. We thought that might happen.
Yeah, Joe Ryan, who is watching. I just got your text, and yeah, we just actually got sent into the Bird app. Did someone say Juan Mata? I don't think he ever got linked, did he?
I think he got linked with Leeds, but I don't know if he got linked with us.
Solomon was a crazy rumor. Yeah, what happened to him? He signed.
Yeah,
that's actually so upsetting. He got injured, but everything happens for a reason. And the likes of Bobby Reed have come in and Cabana have come in, and they've done superbly well.
Yeah.
What did you think of the Arsenal game?
The Arsenal game was very disappointing in terms of the final scoreline and the way it happened, but I was immensely proud of the performance because Arsenal have started the season really well.
Yeah.
And the fact that we gave them such a tough game and caused them a lot of issues, I think is something to be really proud of. I do think that the goals we conceded were unlucky, but I do think that they had so many chances that they were bound to break through at some stage. Leno had a fantastic game until that corner, and it was a bit of an error between him and Diop. I think that if we keep Tete on instead of Mbabu, and I'm not shitting on Mbabu right now, but Tete was performing fantastically well. I don't think we concede that corner. I don't think we concede the goal, and I think that the game ends 1-1 because he was dealing with Martinelli fantastically well on Arsenal's left-hand side, our right-hand side. But we're going to lose games at this level, and we're going to lose them at top 6 teams. That's just the way it works, and we just have to try and stay in every game. Hangland said it on the podcast last week. We need to be in every Premier League game and never think that we're not gonna lose the game. We can't go into the Man City game thinking it's done. We have to go into every game thinking we can get something. We did that at Arsenal, we took the lead, and fingers crossed that we can have that in every single game against the top 6. Fantastic performance against Liverpool. Good performance against Arsenal. Not quite as good as Liverpool, but still a great performance. And perhaps one that merited slightly more than 0 points.
Yeah, Justin Kluivert is now going to Valencia after his deal broke down. That was disappointing. After such a positive night where we won the game, and Silva was even, smiling about the interviewer on BT Sport mentioning Kluivert, and it was quite sad to see that. I was actually watching some of the game back when I got home, just as that news filtered through. So that was very frustrating and disappointing. And I think you're right. Someone just said that Baba Dieng has failed his niece medical.
Yeah, he has. I was about to say that is hilarious. He's failed his medical.
Wait, are you being serious?
Being deadly serious. He's failed his medical at Nice. Which is...
So does that mean can he go to Leeds?
Well, I mean, he'd probably fail a medical there, wouldn't he?
How can you, I suppose... No, because, hold on, I'm always confused about this. How can you fail a medical? Because doesn't that mean you're injured? But I swear teams still sign players when they're injured. Yeah,
we've signed some that have failed medicals.
Wait, does a failed medical mean you still sign?
No, well, a failed medical means it's up to the club, but you failed the medical. And it's advised that if you fail the medical, something's come up that you probably shouldn't sign them. Every club has their own rules on what defines a pass or a fail. Fulham are very strict. And it was reported a few years ago that Congolo failed a couple of times and we still signed him, and look how that worked out. I guess it depends on the player, whether you think it's a fluke. It's just one of these things. But very fun.
Wow. That's probably been the saga of the
day.
Yeah, definitely. Farrell Monk saying nice haircut. I actually have not had my haircut since the day before we played Liverpool, so I might need to go and freshen that one up. Actually, maybe before Spurs. Maybe I don't know. It's quite a lot of money actually. My haircut at the moment. The extortionate prices they keep charging, but they do have good conversation. They say, "Oh, who are Fulham playing this weekend?" And say, "Oh, Liverpool,
Spurs. Yeah.
Spurs now." Yeah.
So,
Is
I mean,
Iowa
it
definitely
sounds
not-
riveting. It sounds like the sort of service that I pay a lot of money for.
Where'd you get your haircut?
Evans, next to Wimbledon Theatre.
Oh yeah, I remember you saying.
Yeah.
Because that's opposite Fockers as well.
Yeah, it's decent. I've been there as well.
Yeah, that was where I used to go.
Yeah.
And now I'm Dylan's loyal. Dylan's just around the corner from
Yeah.
me. We say this because for anyone, me and Joe live about 10-minute walk away from each other. In the Wimbledon area, so it's nice to compare haircut places or barbers as normal people say. No links to you would have thought there would have been a link to centre mid tonight.
Yeah, 100%. Well, I thought we would have got a centre mid tonight, but it just hasn't happened.
Yeah, I don't know how to feel about it really because
it takes what was a great end of the window, in my opinion, if these deals come off. It's just a little bit underwhelming because it feels like we're one short, and Marcus Silva has publicly said that he wants, he's publicly said he wants his midfielder. It's not a surprise to hear this. And Pellegrini is 2 yellow cards away from a suspension. That is going to happen at some point, right? So when that happens, we're a Harrison Reed injury away, which also happens. That means that we are going to have a Tom Cairney and Nat Chalabar pivot. And by the way, Peter Rutt's a tweet just saying we're waiting for news on James, but not expecting any issues Ari Vinicius. So we have our backup striker. They will sign. It's just about Daniel James now. And hopefully, we're still waiting for a lot of news to come through about outgoings, but there's a lot of stuff left to happen today.
Have we brought up the fact that we could offer? Yeah, we have actually. I was going to say Brembert and Diaz pre-contract in January. We can definitely explore those options.
Yeah, I mean, if we don't get a midfielder today, and it doesn't look like we will, I think that's something we'll end up having to explore in January if we don't get a free signing, and I don't see why we would. There's players available, but do they fit the profile? Are they fit? Are they ready to come in? Are they going to improve us? We don't know. So it sounds like this one might have passed.
Quite jealous of Everton signing James Garner from Manchester United. I would have thought that would have been the first on Forest's list to sign.
Yeah, not bad at all, that.
No, very good signing. Looking forward to seeing how he gets on when Everton play next. I actually can't remember who they play next.
They play Liverpool next, Everton.
Of course, the Merseyside derby.
Yeah.
That would be big. That's 12:30, isn't it? That would be interesting to see who gets on there. Obviously, Everton without a win this season. Wolves without a win this season. Leicester, who lost tonight, without a win this season. We could try for Aouar again in January. I suppose we could. We could. Is he in like the last year of his contract as well? Or has he got one more year afterwards? Aouar.
Yes, he is. So I guess they might have to trigger an extension or something so they don't lose value.
If we get Aouar and Brembert and Diaz on pre-contracts in January.
Now, I want to bring up Wayne's comment, Jack, because Wayne, fantastic friend of the videos, always commenting, always supporting. And I remember Wayne calling the Leno news. So fingers crossed that he's spot on again, saying that he's been told by a good friend of his that James has signed for Fulham. Fingers crossed you are right, Wayne. And thank you for always watching and commenting and supporting. And thanks to everyone that's watching. How many are you on at the moment, Jack?
303 viewers. That's the first time I've looked up and we've actually surpassed 300. I remember us doing that a year ago as well. It's something about deadline day that gets people, the fanfare behind it. And if we were sitting here going, look, we're not going to sign anyone, I think we'd probably have about 25 viewers. But yeah, the excitement on transfers, even though we sort of know what's happening, we're just sort of waiting. We said just before we came on air that we do want a big late twist, but with 40 minutes to go and no centre mid rumours, Joe Perreault signing for Leeds, apparently. Are you actually having us on? We said no trolling.
Let's have a look.
I mean, that would be sensational. But Joe Perreault, who scored the other night against Stoke for Swansea, they'd obviously have Obafemi. To lose Perreault would be absolutely heartbreaking for the Swans and would definitely ruin my bet. Which is definitely not coming in now.
Jack, I reckon that it's done that bet. I've got to say.
Yeah, they're sitting.
As heartbreaking as it is.
Outside the relegation zone. But Spurs to win the Champions League is still on.
Yeah.
Although they're still part of the same ACCA, so it's not coming in.
You did say that Scott Parker may end up going there as manager, and now he is available. So
bid rejected, and sounds like Arsenal pursuit of Aston Villa midfielder Douglas Luiz is over. Douglas Luiz has scored 2 corners this season. Quite bizarre. It's not as bizarre as the weirdest narrative the whole season so far. And I don't know if you know about Preston North End.
Oh, yeah.
Played 7 games, scored 2, and conceded none. It's absolutely unheard of. And they played Coventry last night, who played their first game at the Ricoh Arena last night after their pitch issues they've had. And I was thinking, this is going to be the night where they concede.
Yeah.
And they hit the post and the bar like twice, Coventry. And Preston came out 1-0 winners. It's absolutely insane.
Yeah.
Heard Joe Sansom signing for the Athletic. That would be some signing.
I mean, that would be some signing. Please do let me know if that's the case, Farrell. Sign me up. Here's one for you, Jack. Ryan Bennett has cancelled his contract at Swansea and is now a free agent. It's rats fleeing the sinking ship, I tell you. Get out of there while you still can.
Maybe I could still cash out this bet because I put it on.
The cash out's going to be about it's going to be about 3 pence, isn't it? At this point, I mean, I do think they'll improve. I do think they'll get better throughout the season. But any news?
Oh, hold on. There is something to this. After Leeds failed to sign Baba Dieng, Leeds have made a quick move for 2 signings: Scott Cashcott, which would be unbelievable, and Joe Perreault. Leeds will be looking to spend 12.5 million for both players combined. Only 3 hours to go, and Leeds are trying to do the deals quickly.
Yeah, the account, Jack.
1,000. Well,
I don't think it's legit.
155 tweets. There we go then. Well, I mean, these things happen.
I think it's a guy posing as a journo, yeah.
But there was that guy, of course, there was that video that circulated earlier outside the Ellen Road. So there might be something to that. And sort of just dried up a little bit, hasn't it? We sort of know what's going to happen. But then again, if you take it, put it into context, the 4 signings on deadline day, you've got to be pretty happy with that, haven't you?
Yeah. I'm just really hoping. I do apologize. I just had a little browse of Twitter just to see if anything was going on. It really doesn't seem like it.
No.
It seems like it's 2 or 1 or 0 of the players we've mentioned. And fingers crossed we can just get them both in. Because I'll tell you one thing now. If we don't get Dan James in, then this has been a bad deadline day, in my opinion. We knew that Kurzawa and Willian were joining, and I'm glad they've joined. Vinicius, we sort of knew that was happening from last night, and we were always going to get a striker, I'm sure. But the winger situation is something we needed to rectify, and Dan James not signing would be, even if it's slightly out of our control, with firstly the Kluivert situation, and secondly just Leeds not letting him go because they can't get an alternative in, it would be a failure, especially with the lack of a centre mid. Lack of a centre mid, disappointing it is, we can sort of, we can sort of deal with it a little bit, but we just can't miss out on a winger as well. That would be gutting.
Well, what would be more gutting is for Dan James himself, who people don't know. He was at Swansea. He then went to Leeds for a medical, did his photos and everything, and then subsequently couldn't sign. Actually, why couldn't he sign? I can't actually remember why.
He had all the pictures. I can't remember if they didn't let him go or what happened. It was Stoke, wasn't it? Stoke to Leeds. No, Swansea to Leeds.
Swansea, yeah.
Swansea to Leeds. I just don't think Swansea let him go.
Yeah,
Can't remember though.
it was on the Leeds documentary. I remember. I never watched the documentary.
Don't remember.
Check your phone. Happy days. Pajaziti to step up. Could he? Could Pajaziti step up?
I'm sure he could step up a bit, but not enough for the Premier League. In all honesty,
Luke Harris?
I think he's a good player. I think I'd have loved to see him get some minutes in the Carabao Cup and the FA Cup coming up in the future. There's a few players that I'm really hoping go out on loan to get some football. And I'll tell you something, Jack, and this is one that might be slightly disappointing for some people to hear, or they might just disagree with it. I mean, it doesn't mean anything if I say it doesn't happen. I'd be perfectly happy with Stansfield going out on loan if we get Vinicius in, and it sounds like we will, because his game time will be so limited. We're getting in the wingers, we've got in the striker. I want him to go and play football because he's looked great when he has. I'm sure he'd get a Championship or at least League One loan and get some first team minutes, because I think that is the most important thing for him at his age.
Yeah. I think Jay Stansfield, especially the start he's made to the season, at the beginning of this season, I was thinking maybe he's League 2, League 1 level. But given what he's done so far, I think any Championship team who's probably, playoff chasing to mid-table could probably take a punt on him.
Yeah. No,
Nottingham Forest have signed Stansfield. I'd like to sort of keep him just so we have that youth academy prospect in the squad.
Well, here's the question though: we keep him, and then when does he come on? Because you're chasing a game. You might bring him on in addition to Vinicius, but yeah, FA Cup. I mean, there's no point keeping him to play in the cup. Like, we've got to get him some first team football, in my opinion. Yeah.
Great shout from someone on the Telegram. I thought Denier was going to Wolves at some point.
Yeah,
but
it sounds like that hasn't happened. They tried to hijack it, but it hasn't happened. I can't remember where he was going before then.
No, I would be absolutely all over that. But hey.
Also, DC, the comment about if he goes on loan, he isn't going to want to stay around for a new contract. Why? Because I think he's more likely to, if we were to keep him and not play him, I think he's more likely to not want to stay at the club than if he goes out on loan. Because if we keep him and don't play him, what's the point of him being here? We're just jeopardising his career and slowing him down. I don't think we would do that. I think he'd still get some game time, but I think he could get more game time somewhere else. But interested, if you want to debate in the comments, it'd be great to have a debate. Interesting to see who else you guys would like to go out on loan. Harris possibly getting a surprise Wales call up. Do you want to see him stay in and around the first team? Do you want to see him go out on loan? Francois, Onomer, Congolo, Caballero, Knocker all seem like they're off. But interested to hear your guys' thoughts. Like, who do you think should go? Who do you think should go permanently? Who do you think should go out on loan? What do you think's left to do in this window? Because we know the incoming rumours, but there might be a few surprises going out.
Callum Robinson has signed for Cardiff from West Brom. Very Sky Bet sign
Very.
That. Well, I mean, I still think that if Cliver would have all gone through, we'd be on a very different tangent right now in terms of deadline day signings.
Yeah.
But these things happen. Everything happens for a reason. Maybe it's one we can pursue later in the. Well, I suppose he's signed for Valencia now, so there's no real chances there. He's on a different path. And I suppose, Joe, it's been a remarkable start to the season. It really has 8 points from 5. We're in a really good place. This is like the best place we've been in the table for years, for absolute years, since like 12, 13, or even before that. So we really should enjoy it while it lasts, because we've got 2 very difficult games coming up in Spurs and Chelsea. But yeah, like the win over Brentford, the win over Brighton. And arguably, we could be on more points if Mitchell had stuck that penalty away. Yeah,
I mean, on another day, we beat Liverpool. On another day, Mitrovic scores a penalty, we win against Wolves. We've had chances to win every game. We could have hung on against Arsenal on another day. I think that's the most important thing. We're in every game. We don't look like we don't look like we're out of place like we always have done in previous seasons. And, fingers crossed that we can continue that with the addition of these new signings. We have more of the depth. Whatever happens now, we have 2 more players than we did on Tuesday, and the squad looked okay there. They'll both go onto the bench. We have Solomon, we have Wilson still to come back. It's not all doom and gloom. I don't want to be doom and gloom about it. We need a centre midfielder, but we've done it. I just feel like we're one body short, but the squad overall is looking very strong, in my opinion. A lot of Premier League quality players in every position. The depth is where we maybe don't have the same quality underneath as we saw in the Crawley game, but the squad's a lot better than we have had in previous Premier League seasons. So fingers crossed, Jack, that we can keep that good start going.
I find it funny because sometimes when we go on our phones in these live streams, you think, oh, it's slightly unprofessional. I'm watching Sky right now. there's the pundit who's just scrolling through her phone.
Yeah,
it's just like, it's really funny how this has become some sort of phenomenon. To give a recap, we've reached 1 hour and a half on this live stream. To give a recap on what's happened,
yes,
Willian has signed. Livac Azoa has signed. Willian being a 1-year deal. Livac Azoa being a loan from PSG. We're still waiting for Dan James, who's finished his medical. We're still waiting for a green light from Leeds for him to sign up on loan for Fulham for the rest of the season. And then a £5 million deal for Carlos Vinicius, or Vinicius Carlos. I'm going to have to learn that one. To join as a backup striker to Alexander Mitrovic, who, by the way, surpassed his goal tally of the Parker season. That helps when you actually play the player. You play our best striker. I should stop digging at Parker, shouldn't I? But it's oh so tempting given what's happened in the last couple of weeks. And yeah, James paperwork being signed now says.
Yeah, I mean, this is make or break for Sky being reliable in my books. Sky is saying it's done. Sky is saying the paperwork's being signed. There's no issue with Dan James, and he will be announced. So doesn't happen. Blame Sky Sports, blame Kaveh Solikol and Dharmesh Seth. But hopefully it does happen. And I know we've been saying that for an hour and a half now. But Jack, it's been a hell of a lot of fun, this live stream. I've really enjoyed it. And I hope that everyone in the comments has enjoyed it as well. I'm sorry that we haven't had more action to bring you in the first hour and a half.
No, but at the same time, like there's 4 signings, and what happens is because we go right to the deadline, you basically already know what's happening anyway. We're basically here just to recap and hope for something is going to happen. And obviously we've had 2 games since, so we've talked about those. We've had our guest on in Dan, who offers fantastic insight. He's phenomenal, absolutely phenomenal, especially with his yellow tie.
Yeah, no, fantastic.
Can I ask you a question? Because football's all about emotion. It's all about feeling up and down. How do you feel about this Fulham team right now? Not being like, oh yeah, because the signings add to your feeling, but the season so far. I know we've touched on it, but how do you feel personally when you think about this season?
Really, really proud because for once I can engage in conversations without being mocked for being a yellow card, for Mitrovic being awful, for our defence being turgid. No matter what happens this season, I feel like we've at least calmed down a few of the stereotypes about our squad. And fingers crossed we can keep it going because we've been playing really well. We've been deserving of a lot of points so far. We've played some great teams. And I just really, really hope that it keeps going this way because we've always said, Jack, we've always moaned about being the Premier League's rubbish, whatever. Let's face it, it's great. It's great if you're winning. And we are winning at the moment. We're getting some great results. And a win in the Premier League feels about 1,000,000 times better than a win in the Championship. And it's not close.
Someone's saying Leeds are trying to sign Ben Brereton Diaz. Are you serious?
Wow. I mean, that would be full circle, wouldn't it? That would be fantastic.
We will touch on Carvalho last night quickly as well, but from a personal point of view, this season has been very, very special so far. I'm slightly taking on a different role this season. As I am still obviously a massive fan of Fulham, but I've been lucky enough to start my career really, and it's within the sport. And it's been terribly, terribly exciting.
Yeah.
And being in a press box at an away game is certainly some experience, especially when you score. You don't really know what to do.
Yeah.
That was like a panicky moment, but albeit we went on to lose the game, it was an incredible experience, and I'm very, very excited. Oh, Dave, thanks so much for the £5
Dave, that
donation
is so
on the Super
kind.
Chat.
Thank you very much,
really
Dave.
appreciate it. We really appreciate it.
By the way, that is legit. TalkSport are saying Leeds are attempting a late push for Ben Brereton Diaz. That is from Alex Crook. So that would be completely full circle, wouldn't it?
Oh, I'd be gutted if he goes to Leeds.
Yeah, I would as well.
But they've got to pay. They've got to pay 20 million. They've got to pay 15 to 20 million.
Yeah,
that's what Blackburn want. But yeah, I mean, given the season we've had so far, exceeded all expectations. The mainstream media are waxing lyrical about us. Match of the day have been very complimentary. It's nice to have like Danny Murphy like back in your corner as well. And
is it nice to watch Match of the Day? And even when we lost, we had people saying that we played really well and that we looked like we belong. Like we didn't get embarrassed at Arsenal. We looked really good.
Well, even Granit Xhaka's comments today in that article.
Yeah.
Fabio Carvalho scored the winner last night. How did that make you feel?
I'm very happy for him, but it just made me feel very frustrated. Just because of what could have been at Fulham. Harvey Elliott had a great game. Carvalho scored the winning goal, and I was just thinking these should be Fulham players. If he just managed the situation better. And it's just very disappointing. But I'm very happy for him. I hope that he does really well at Liverpool, as he's already started to do. He's been one of their best players this season, and every time he's come on, he's changed the game. Other than the Bournemouth game when they were already doing very well. I hope that he starts starting some games for them. But even when that happens, it will be incredibly frustrating to see as a Fulham fan, just because it's so gutting, Yeah. But yeah, it's one of these things. Gutting, but also proud of him.
God, sitting in one place for a while really does take it out of you sometimes. Stretching the legs. Carvalho's goal last night, good tenacity from him to get that shot away. Of course, he sort of set up the goal against United as well with that shot that came in, and Salah scored the rebound.
Yeah.
He's made a very good impression, and I wonder now whether he'll get some Champions League minutes. I'm sure he probably will in the next couple of weeks. Obviously, the Champions League starts on Tuesday and Wednesday, and then they play the subsequent week, the next week as well, because obviously the schedule has been different this season because of the World Cup. That World Cup's going to be fast approaching, isn't it?
And that's actually really interesting you bring that up, because Sky is saying that one of the reasons Dan James really wants to join Fulham is for regular first team football, and he's not getting it at Leeds. So you can see from his perspective why he'd want the move.
Where are you hearing this? You got that? Have you got a Sky Sports News in your ear or something?
No, sorry, I've had it on a different tab on my computer and I just checked it.
Oh right, no worry. No, that does make sense, doesn't it?
Yeah, I've got Kaveh Solokol here, and I've got Dharmesh Chef here, and they're just spouting bollocks at me.
I've got it on, and I've hardly even looked at it. They keep jumping between studios, actually. What a back! Okay, here's a tweet from I don't know. I suppose it was a Leeds fan. What a backward step for Dan James going on loan from Leeds to Fulham, who will inevitably be fighting a relegation battle for the rest of the season. Okay. You can tell it's mainly to be match fit for the World Cup, but why not just fight for your place and show ambition? Well, I'm sure Marco Silva, who's very good at these things, would have had a nice conversation with him and told him all his plans for the season. And Dan James would have probably gone, I fancy a bit of that, rather than playing out of position for a Leeds United team who have looked pretty good this season. Look, we could still be in a relegation battle. We really, really could be. And there is, touch wood, there is a stat that's if you get 8 points from your first 5 games, you have a 96% chance of staying up. And actually, Gary Lineker said it last night that no side has been relegated from the Premier League after picking up 8 points in their first 5 games.
Yeah.
And I'm not here to jinx it. I'm just putting out a stat, and I've touched wood, so it's fine. So I'm really... Wouldn't it just be great to stay up? Wouldn't it just be great to stay up and just kick on and show some more ambition in the market and look ourselves at an established team? And if you look at the Championship right now, I think Sheffield United, obviously, and Norwich occupy the top 2 spaces. I think Sheffield United are probably the best team in the Championship so far, albeit they're top of the league. It's quite easy to say that.
Yeah.
But no one else has really been, the Bournemouth, the Fulham, the Bournemouth of last season, where they look
No.
the standouts. It's quite an open one this season.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, I guess this time last season it was probably quite like that as well. But I don't think there's anyone that's showing so much quality that you sort of like discard them as a mid-table side or below, or just a playoff side. Like, there's no one that looks like they're dead cert top two. I do feel like last year, us and Bournemouth did look a level above at this stage, even if the points tally wasn't showing it. We looked like quality teams. Be interested to see if that does happen. It's a very good point from, FFC said Darmesh has been quite accurate for Fulham. He has been quite accurate actually this time. He called the Mbabu transfer. He was very good the whole way on the Kluivert deal. He was the one that called it was off. He called the Willian news. Yeah, he's been good. So issue is it's Carve that's given these updates, FFC. So fingers crossed that they're mates and they're just telling each other all the information. Got 20 minutes to go. But Jack, I know we'll probably wrap up the stream in about 20 minutes, but this could go long into the night in terms of announcements. Deal sheets give you an extra couple of hours to announce things.
Well, I don't think we have to put deal sheets in if all the paperwork's done and everything. I don't think we're in deal sheet territory right now, are we?
Well, I think that if Dan James isn't given the green light by 11, there has to be a deal sheet. Otherwise, it's like you get it done before 11 or a deal sheet goes in, effectively.
Oh, I see. Okay.
And if they haven't given the green light, then it's not completely and utterly done enough.
Our Leeds playing the Bordeaux card and just selling us down the river. Sabali 2.0. That was a frustrating evening.
Yeah.
That ruined my flight club night. Send them a deal sheet, please. Yes.
Yeah, I hope so.
Oh, by the way, Jack, I'm the guy who came up to you at Marylebone after the Wolves game. Where was? Oh, yeah. Was that in Burger King? It might have been in Burger King. If not, it was on the platform. And someone else saying, "Hi, Jack. See you at most away games and ask for a picture in the concourse. Last time at Wolves away, I introduced you to you introduced me to your brother, and I got you both a pint." I seem to remember speaking. Was it at half time? Because I thought I turned down a pint because it was too hot. But it was honestly, that was a hot day, wasn't it, Joe?
It was very hot. It was way too hot. Just looked at Twitter, quick tweet, not Fulham related. Pete O'Rourke, who's normally pretty reliable. Forest news. Looks like Michy Batshuayi's move will not be happening now. So I'm not sure what's happened there.
Oh,
but sounds like he will
really?
not be signing. Yeah, just 1 minute ago. Sounds like Pete O'Rourke.
Oh, yeah, he's good. He's good. Graham Bailey, by the way, 4 minutes ago. Fulham ready to confirm loan capture of Dan James once he passes medical. Okay.
I hope so. There's a lot of people saying he's passed the medical. I think we all know that now, but it's just, come on. Can we just get it over the line, please?
I'm amazed Palace haven't signed anyone today.
I am as well.
With a youngster from Peterborough. But in terms of like first teamers, amazed, absolutely amazed. One of my brother's friends who's a Palace fan round here last night, and he was talking about, like we said earlier, Ismail Assar, and it hasn't come to fruition at all for Vieira and Crystal Palace. I suppose that's quite good news for us. I mean, this is a question to ask now. Like, we have to be better than 3 teams, and so far, I would comfortably say we've been better than, you could look at the table and say we've been better than 12. But I think we've been better than the Villas, Wolves, Everton.
Yeah, we look better than 3 right now for sure. It's just whether we can keep that going.
Yeah, and could Craven Cottage finally become a fortress?
Oh, I really hope so. I mean, it has been the first few games. The atmosphere's been great. And I just really hope that we can keep it going. I mean, the atmosphere's been fantastic. The corners being filled in and fans in the Riverside, I think, has made a huge difference.
It was loud. It was actually really loud the last 10, 15 minutes at Brighton against Brighton. It was it felt like a proper good Premier League atmosphere. And I know we spoke about it earlier, but that game management in added time was absolutely sensational.
It's fantastic.
That's everything you need in the Premier League. Everything you need. Even when, when Kearney flashed the ball across the box and Bobby Reid could have got the end of it and had a chance. He was like, no, I'm going straight for the corner to see out time. And I like the fact that Graham Potter was honest about us as well. It takes a bit of you have to be quite humble to, admit when your side has been second best. You could easily say, oh, we should have done this and that. But he gave all the credit to Fulham. And obviously nice to have Shahid Khan at the last couple of home games as well. He must really enjoying himself at the moment, seeing what this Fulham team are doing.
Yeah, and if you look at the full access, when he goes in to see Marco Silva and Graham Potter, and he says congratulations, and Marco Silva says, "Well, every time you come, we win. You should come more often." So fingers crossed that does happen.
Someone's done a flight tracker.
Flight tracker for
Raul du Tomas. That's a player who's been linked today, isn't it?
Oh, we've just signed Vinicius.
There we go.
A live reaction. Wow.
11:15.
Quarter to 11.
Here. There we go then. And Congolo's just signed for Havre Athletic Club. What?
Where's that come from? What a few minutes that is.
Incredible. Joe, do you want to read the details of the deal? Do you want us to click on the link and have a little read through it?
I'm getting on it now. Let me get my...
So for anyone who's just joined, Vinicius is in. Invincible. He's done it. Fantastic.
So
one more to go then.
Sorry, it's just loading. By the way, Congolo's a loan, so he's not one permanently. Signing of Vinicius for an undisclosed fee, deal until the summer of 2025, so 3 years with an option for an extra 12 months. He says he's happy to be back in the Premier League again. He's more experienced now and thinks he can help the club. All seems very positive. There's not too much to add here. But fingers crossed that is not the last signing of the day. I really hope not. We need one more.
Deal. White Noise has picked this up.
Yeah.
Raul de Thomas heading to London from England. My sources tell me that there are people associated with Fulham in Southend. Surely not.
Okay.
I mean, that's come from but like there is a flight tracker and it looks pretty.
Yeah, I mean, why on earth would he be going to Southend when we play in London and he could just get a flight to London?
Or Farnborough.
I
don't know what's going on. I don't think...
I'm sorry, and why is he getting a flight from Barca? No, it's not. It's not.
But White Noise picked it up and I got slightly giddy.
Yeah, no, White Noise sweet, and we're normally dancing, aren't we? So...
Fabrizio Romano. Dan James completes medical as Fulham player, dealer grill, while Leeds are working on a new signing after Dieng's story. 2 minutes ago from Fabrizio Romano. So
okay, nice.
That's good noises that we're making. Congolo's gone out on loan. And yeah, I suppose as we head to the end of the stream, it's been a pretty positive finish.
Yeah, 100%. And Jack, wasn't it wonderful to get a live reaction for a signing?
Yes. Not since, was it Ola Aina all that time ago?
Yeah, Ola Aina. And that was on just a standard SW6 Essential video, wasn't it? It wasn't even live.
Back on Zoom, when we used to on Zoom.
Oh, that was good, wasn't it? The really grainy quality.
Or where like your face would, the only person who'd speaking is...
oh, God. Yeah.
Espanyol was in Barcelona, that's why.
Oh. Right. Well, I just
no way.
Myself then.
No way. Why are we signing 2 strikers? I suppose we could if Jay Stansfield goes out on loan, but deal sheet for Stansfield.
Okay, well, no, very fair point about Espanyol. I've been completely mugged off there by my own shoddy geography of Spain. But why on earth would he be going to Southend? That is still my question.
Also, what was I going to say? We were linked with Baba Dieng, so I'm sort of glad that didn't work out.
Yeah, I mean the Baba Dieng thing. That was rumored to be our striker, wasn't it? That was rumored to be the guy, and it was someone that can play all across the front line. So, yeah, I don't know. I'm not gutted to miss out on that one, but the versatility, kind of similar to Ben Brereton Diaz, would have been useful, I'd say, Jack. I'm not sure. Would someone in the comments be able to say if you can still see me? I think we've lost Jack briefly. I thought I might have frozen, but I think it's Jack. So if someone could say in the comments, that'd be fantastic. Yeah, perfect. Well, yeah, sorry. Hopefully Jack will be back soon. I'll message him now. In fact, he is just sending me a message. His laptop died, so he'll be back shortly. Hopefully he comes back soon. Yeah, rest in peace in the comments. Just going to see if he is going to come back. We probably won't be going on too long. I'll just let him know that I will wait till he's back. Sorry about this, everyone. It was working really well until then, so that's a bit of a shame. I've not really known how to do this on my own. Jack normally helps me spout bollocks most of the time. But I would love to get your thoughts on the Vinicius deal in the comments. Where has Congolo gone? I've just seen you say that, Giles. He has gone, and I don't want to butcher the name of the club, to Have Athletic Club. So that is a team that I would like to know if they play in any sort of European competition. So they are a French team. They are in League Two, so that is the second division of France. Interesting move for him. I mean, there was rumours about the West Brom move, wasn't there? There was a few Championship clubs touted. He had the trial on with Stoke a little while ago. Jack is coming, by the way, everyone. You'll be delighted to know. But yeah, it's a shame this happened right at the end because we were probably going to call it a day quite soon. Jack has just signed for the Sidemen, and well, I hope not. But fingers crossed that when he does come back, we're greeted by some fantastic news. I'm not too sure about this rumour about Roy Thomas, but it'll be fantastic. And oh my goodness,
I'm so sorry. My
he's
laptop's
back.
like 13%. I don't know why it died.
Oh my god.
Can you
Jack,
hear me?
I was having cold sweats, man. I don't know how to do this on my own, so thank goodness. I can hear you.
I'm
Can
gonna
you
have
hear
to.
me?
Yeah. Can you?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Is the audio good? I'm gonna have to
Perfectly
just take.
fine.
Oh, okay.
You're fine. Yeah.
It hasn't connected to the microphone. I could try and connect it back. But
Yeah. Well, you sound okay. We're probably not going for that much longer, so feel free to just leave it like that.
Yeah. Okay. What have I missed? Nothing.
Nothing. People were asking about Congolo. Talking about Roy Thomas a little bit, but I mean, it's just waiting on Dan James now, isn't it? That's it. That's the final one. Final nail. Sully, you are spot on. I was panicking a lot, not a little. Yeah. And I'll be panicking even more if we don't sign Dan James because we've got 8 minutes to go, and in those 8 minutes, it's time to get the deal sheets in. So fingers crossed that we can actually pull that off.
Nothing's really happened. I charged my laptop. It was on 100%, and I don't know. The battery's awful. It was on 13%. I just saw it. It was on 13. I was like, I should probably go and get my charger really quickly.
Yeah.
And it died with no warning.
Oh well.
But yeah, sorry about
that.
No
warning. Well, hopefully we sign someone with no warning. That's the aim, isn't it? So fingers crossed. The Premier League normally, it was a bit different when we're in the Championship, but they normally do. Oh, by the way, thank you, Michael. It's a fake flight number for that flight. It landed in 2017.
Brilliant.
So I think we can rule that one out, guys. I don't think that's going to happen unless we got a time machine.
Wigan just signed.
Sorry?
Oh, Wigan just signed someone. He just looked fairly familiar, but
the Premier League normally do announce any deal sheets that are in, and they normally tell you the clubs as well. So I imagine unless we announce Dan James literally at 11, we'll have one deal sheet in. Anything other than that, and it means that there's a surprise signing on the way. I doubt that will be the case. We do still have some more outgoings to be announced. So, for example, Josh Onomer, I'm sure will go. Tyrese Francois. Jay Stansfield might go out on loan now. We'll see what happens after Vinicius is signed. If not, I hope he just plays some first-team football with us because that would be... I love seeing Jay Stansfield play for us. I know that he's technically not one of our own because we picked him from Exeter. But it's still a delight to see him playing really well for us because we've had him from a young age. It would be wonderful to see him nurture into a Premier League quality player. Maybe he's already there. And yeah, that'll be an interesting one to see. I would love to see him get a Championship loan, perhaps, but we'll see.
We will see. 5 minutes to go. Fulham signed Carlos Vinicius from Benfica is the breaking news on Sky Sports. Literally, we are massive.
Yeah.
Oh, right. Oh, it's
Fulham
just,
FC with your little
just added.
tease.
There we go. I need to put him on my Instagram story like I've done for every single signing.
Yeah.
I'm 7 years old.
Yeah.
Still get giddy over transfers. Rogers with a quote tonight. With the greatest respect, we have had... With the greatest respect, we have not had the help in the transfer market that this team has needed. Could he walk? Could he walk?
I'm going to go on a limb here, Jack. That Fulham tweet. So for people that don't know, they've basically just said it's not official until we drop the signing picture with a picture of Vinicius. I don't think the Fulham admin is dumb enough to tweet that if that is the last thing he's going to tweet tonight. I just don't think. I think they would know that the mood wouldn't be great. I mean, don't get me wrong, they have to post things about Vinicius, but I don't think they'd put that caption. Maybe that's me just being a bit optimistic, but I reckon we will get one more in. So fingers crossed.
Fingers crossed. Indeed you do. We'll stay on just to surpass 11 o'clock, just in case we announce something at 11 in Dan James, hopefully. And
if not, we'll have to leave it there, but hopefully that we get it done afterwards.
Yeah, we'll have to love you and leave you, and everyone can find out on their own terms, really. So let's I know this is kind of long, but name a 9-player bench now that we might see.
Oh my God. Yeah, okay. Well, I guess the easy way to do it is when everyone's fit, you presume that Wilson plays. You presume that Dan James or Solomon plays when fit.
Yeah.
And Duffy would be back. So I reckon you go Rodak, you go Mbabu, Kurzawa. Do you do Diop and Duffy? Because you've got 4 defenders. You probably have to.
Yeah.
Then you've got Tom Kearney, Chalabar. So wait, that's 7 already. Then you've got to have Vinicius. And then we've got to drop some of the defenders. Because suddenly then we need Bobby Reid, we've got Cabano, we've got
oh my gosh,
one of Wilson, Solomon and Dan James as well. You've also got players like Harris and Stansfield, and this is why I think that Stansfield should be loaned out, because the opportunities are going to be so much more limited.
4 defenders on the bench.
No. We've probably got to leave it then, but be very interested to see what would happen in terms of that. But instantly, Jack, even just talking about that, Willian as well. Did he mention him?
Oh my gosh,
the depth is looking so much better, and Darkwing 009. It's a good problem to happen. It's fantastic.
Yeah.
Mike McGrath, Josh Onomer has completed his move to West Brom. So that one will be announced shortly. I think that is a loan deal. I don't think that's Josh Onomer being completely done at Fulham forever. Although Marco Silva doesn't want him, so I very much doubt. We do need one more midfielder, I think, but the depth is looking so much better, Jack.
A very important question to ask you before we wrap up. Will Marco Silva be happy? Will he be happy?
Mostly, yeah. I think he'll be mostly happy, but I think there'll still be a bit of him that's going, we don't quite have completely enough compared to what we could have done and maybe should have done because of the lack of a midfielder, assuming James comes in.
Do you know what was like a big thing? Obviously, a couple of seasons ago, it was we left transfers late and look at the amount of points we've got from the opening games. That argument doesn't stand at this moment. At this season, we've got 8 points from Wayne with, I have been told, 100% Dan James is a Fulham player.
You know what, Wayne? Wayne, you're one of my favourite people ever, if this is true. So,
and Sky Sports have said, Aston Villa have signed Jan Bednarek on loan. Interesting. Sky Sports have just said Dan James fully done. Just waiting confirmation from Fulham. And look, we're 1 minute from 11 with 30 30 seconds away. Are we
Yeah.
going to get that 11 o'clock announcement to 1, round off the stream, and 2, round off what has been a wonderful, wonderful oh my god, what is it? Window, Joe.
Window. Yeah, it's been fun. And obviously there's always so many rumours. Doesn't always happen. Let's see if it happens now.
It's like the countdown to New
And
Year.
if not, we'll
6,
have to go.
5, 4, 3. Well, it's already said 11 o'clock on my phone, so I don't know whether everything's going to come in.
No. So that is going to be one that we're going to have to wait for. And unless it's been done in the background and everything's been, dot the I's, cross the T's, then a deal sheet will have to go in for that one. And I'm sure we'll hear about that from the Premier League shortly. But guys, I mean, Jack, we'll probably have to leave it there, but it's been great fun. Thanks everyone for joining.
Yeah.
We love doing these on deadline day. I'm sure we'll do one in the January window when we try and poach Ben Brereton Diaz.
Oh, you know what? Can we just hold on for 1 second?
Go on, yeah.
Because there's a page that I think we both follow called Transfer Checker, and he tweeted earlier that he's going to announce something just after 11 o'clock. I really want to know what that is. And also, just to leave you here, clubs can still complete deal sheet. I wonder who's going to be putting in a deal sheet. I'll leave you with this tweet as well. Benfica once rejected a bid of 60 million for Carlos Vinicius.
Yeah.
The then Benfica president said he'd only be sold for 100 million. Today he rejoins Fulham for just 5 million euros. That is something.
Yeah. Well, and I will give you this one last tweet as well. And if it doesn't happen, then I apologise for even giving you this information. Alan Nixon has just tweeted, and he was the person that first said about Dan James today that it is done. He's just said that. And he does not say it unless he's certain, because he loves doing a little tick when he gets it right. So,
to be fair, I don't know when this tweet's coming in from Transfer Checker, so I'm not going to leave everyone. It's going to be something about Ronaldo or something boring like that.
Yeah. Peter Rutzler, Dan James set to go through. So that is fantastic news. Fantastic news.
Great news. Great window. There are a lot of people. I'll actually say this now. There are a lot of people complaining about this window and saying that this deadline day has been extremely underwhelming. Put it into context of where the squad's at the moment, where we are on the table, how well we're doing, and I think it's been a good window.
Yeah,
8.5 out of 10. If we'd have got one more sentiment in, it would have been fantastic. But hopefully, everyone in that midfield stays fit and well. And then come January, if we do need to plug that gap, you would imagine we'd only have to make maybe a maximum of 1 or 2 signings, I reckon. And that would be the sentiment position. Just depends on how everyone gets on. But Joe, an absolute pleasure as always.
Yeah, real pleasure. And thank you for everyone for all your comments and interaction, and for viewing it, and also for not turning off when Jack disappeared and I shout myself. So that was wonderful. Glad that we got 1 live reaction, 2 if you count Congolo going, and I guess a sort of live reaction to Dan James. 99% happening now, it sounds like. So fingers crossed, and can see all the comments. Thank you. It'd be great if you could give the video a thumbs up and subscribe. We're really trying to push for 5k subscribers as soon as possible, and the channel's been growing great because you guys have been watching every week. And I suppose, Jack, we'll be back next Wednesday after Spurs and previewing Chelsea.
Oh yes, 2 London derbies coming up. 1 North, obviously it's not North London derby, 1 team from the north of London, and then of course the West London derby against Chelsea, the 12:30 kickoff, live on BT Sport, our favourite provider of Premier League football. Guys, thanks so much for watching. It's been an absolute pleasure. 2 hours. I think that might be our longest stream ever. I think
probably.
It might be. And yeah, let's leave it there. Fulham have got their business done, and we're looking in good shape. Can we get something from Spurs? Can we get something from Chelsea? We will find out in just a few days' time. Joe, final words?
Nothing from me. 8 out of 10 window, maybe missing 1, but don't let it get you too down. And thank you. What a way to end it. Thank you so much, Leo.
Oh, cheers, Leo.
Really, really kind of you for the donation. But yeah, wonderful start to the season, wonderful end to the deadline. Maybe missing 1, but What?
I've just seen the tweet from the guy, and it's just not.
What?
It's nothing. I'll say it
Oh,
without saying
no.
just listen to this. It's absolute chaos. F you to every single United fan who spent the whole summer sending me vile, awful abuse every time I said Frankie de Jong was staying at Barcelona, rather than enjoying your shite Timbot club when all I was doing was reporting the truth. Enjoy mid-table mediocrity, you C words. I can't believe he had everyone on the streets for that.
So, Jack, how long have you been waiting for that tweet, by the way?
Since 11.
Since 11 a.m. Oh, my God. By the way, Transfer Checkers, huge fraud. They said the Leno deal was done miles in advance. It wasn't. So, but they have gained my respect back by that incredible tweet.
I can't believe he's done that. That's so funny, to be fair. That is transfers for you. You get
That is
sucked in
fantastic,
and
yeah.
let down. But no, to be fair, I mean, if he got all that abuse, then he has the right to completely...
I mean, let's face it, he got it right. De Jong, I mean, I remember
What
saying
signing
to you,
that is,
Jack,
United.
back in... Yeah, what a wonderful signing. Here's the thing. You can bid as much as you want. If the player doesn't want to come, they normally won't come. Like, it's literally that simple. I don't want to move to England. I don't want to live in Manchester. Fair enough. And he doesn't. He wants to stay in Barcelona, and fair enough, you know.
Fulham have 8
Leeds
points
set
from
to
5
sign
games.
who? Leeds set to sign someone.
Gnotto? Who's Gnotto?
Oh, Wilfried Gnotto. Okay. Forward from FC Zurich.
Oh.
Very interesting. And that's got a here we go from Fabrizio Romano. So there'll be a deal sheet in for that. So that will be why I think the Dan James deal is going through.
I can't believe that tweet. That's so funny. Albeit, you know, probably warranted. Like he probably has been kept that in for quite a while.
Yeah.
He or she, you never know.
Yeah.
I'll leave you with this. Fulham have 8 points from 5 games. Meanwhile, Scott Parker has 2 failed jobs in the Premier League. Joe Sansom, thanks very much for being here.
Yeah, thanks, Jack. Thanks everyone for watching.
We've even a 2-hour stream, we've managed to drag it on for an extra 5 or 6 minutes. It wouldn't be the Jack and Joe show without doing that sort of thing. We'll see you next Wednesday for some football chat. The transfer window is done. Let's park it until January and enjoy your evening, guys. And let's hope Dan James comes through. See you later, everyone.